Evening, everyone. I will call the meeting of September 4th to order. Please stand. Director Gray will lead us in the pledge.
Put your hand over your heart. Please repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Director Dennert,
I'm here.
Director Gray,
Here.
Director O'Brien,
Here.
Vice Chair Avila,
Here.
Chair Freeman.
Here. Thank you. Agenda review, is there any changes?
Staff has no recommended changes.
I have one card for an item that is not on the agenda. Public statement, item number 4. Glenn Lipman.
Hello, everybody, board member. I've been here before to make a request to remove design use 25, no baseball on a softball field. And I would just like to have you just look at it again and maybe think about the children that have a need to use these ball fields to play baseball on those fields. During the baseball season, we probably have about 1,000 children throughout our community playing baseball with countless adults volunteering their time to coach. And they have no place to practice. There's just no place. There's just not enough. And we're sitting on maybe 20 fields, and many with lights, and so much opportunity for these kids to use the field. But yet, I'm trying to convince you that there's just this huge need to use these ball fields. I know there's a concern that maybe the people walking the park might be in danger of the balls flying around in a ballpark. Well, I was a high school principal in the day before I retired, and we had a football field, 2 baseball fields, and 2 softball fields right in and out of the school. Well, we didn't try to figure out ways to not use our ball fields for the safety of the kids walking in and out. Everybody knew that they were walking near ball fields and to be aware and to watch out for their safety. There was parking lot right next to our ball fields. People knew to park, knowing that their car could get hit by a ball field. Everybody knows what a ball field brings to the table. However, you got ballparks in the park, and I know they built ballparks to be used, and the usage of the ballparks in Simi Valley are just not used. So as they sit idle during the season and not during the season, people are scrambling to try to find places to practice. Now, if you look at just Big Sky, who has 4 fields with lights, you have Rancho Santa Susana with 3 fields with lights, and Rancho Cindy with 3 fields with lights. So that's like 10 fields. And if you just did 5 time slots, you could get over 50 time slots per day on the average of teams going in and out, just practicing, just using it in the evenings and the daytime. So much opportunity for the 1,000+ kids that need it. So I think there's a big need in our valley to open up the ball fields in Simi Valley, and I'm asking you to look deeper into it. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Have you met with staff?
I'm sorry.
Have you met with staff?
I have met with staff. They're closed to not opening it. They
Okay.
do not support opening it because of the safety issue. The feeling is that prioritizing the people who use the park over using the fields. So too much usage of the ball fields is too dangerous for the park goers. So it seems like they're prioritizing the needs of the few over the needs of the many, and especially the children who need it. So they're closed to any usage of the parks other than what it is today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no other cards under public comment. Is there anyone on Zoom? I see no one.
Chair, before we move on, Dan, would you say that's an accurate description of your communications? Or is there anything you'd like
Relative
add?
to the baseball and softball fields, yes, but I think there's other opportunities to meet the need on the existing baseball fields.
Is there,
So I think there's other alternatives to explore before doing the softball field conversion. That being said, I wouldn't really say we're opposed to it. It's board policy right now, so we're just supporting the board policy. But at the same time, I just think there's an opportunity for Mr. Lippman and travel ball teams that are private teams to share fields with the existing baseball league fields, and then we can accomplish the goal without having to compromise the safety of the patrons in the parks.
and that safety issue, how big of a concern was that for you?
Fairly significant. We've had several complaints of, I think the board's dealt with some of balls flying, Rancho Santa Su flying out. There's also, with the softball fields, we have umpires there that monitor the fields. So when the softball players are there playing the leagues, it's a bit safer environment in the parks. We have softball players. When we have coaches out there without oversight in different teams, the balls tend to fly a little bit farther, and softball is different than baseball also in terms of safety risk.
So what I'm asking to put on the agenda is not necessarily changing all those rules, but for our staff to bring us some options that we
Okay.
could discuss. The other reason I mentioned that is maybe one option is not going to work for a variety of reasons, but there might be some way to improve the situation, maybe on a more limited level, but I'd like to see what those options are at a future meeting.
I think there's other options, yes, to accomplish the goal, yeah. So I'd be happy to do it.
And then when we put that on the agenda, you'll let some of the groups interested know?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Hearing no other persons, how about item 5, which is approval of the minutes?
I have a couple of corrections on page 3 under new business. It said Abela questioned a more aggressive investment strategy. That's actually the opposite of what I did. I questioned why the district was not pursuing a more aggressive strategy. So it should read, Avila questioned why the district was not pursuing a more aggressive investment strategy. And then the second correction, and I don't know what the exact wording correction to this would be, but I was not at the closed session, so under reportable action, under item 13, I believe it should be something to the effect of the board voted 4-0 to reject the claim with Vice Chair Avila absent. So those are the two suggested corrections.
Are there any other corrections or additions? Do I have a motion to approve as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Director Jennings?
Yes.
Director Gray?
Aye.
Director O'Brien? Yes. Vice Chair Avila?
Aye.
Chair Freeman?
Yes.
The motion carries with a unanimous vote.
We'll now move on to the consent calendar, which includes the approval of the 8/15/24 accounts payable check register and 8/9 and 8/23 payroll check registers, and also approval of the purchase of a 3370E Triflex LL ION electric mower through California Multiple Awards. Are there any questions?
I have one question on the check register for August 1st through 15th. It's on page, it's check number 107809. It's on page 5, it looks like. Page numbers are very small, so I can't really read it. It's a national demographics for demographic services, in the amount of $49,250. What was that for?
I have the same question.
That was for our districting process. The districting, yeah. So
Of course.
the consultant worked with the county through June and July to get all the addresses corrected with the county, and we didn't make payment until they completed that portion of the task.
Okay,
Good.
any other questions? I do have one question on the electric mower. Is that something we have to add any kind of power source, or is it just a plug-in overnight?
I don't believe so. I'll ask David to, come on up to the, yeah, come on up. I think we have sufficient power. I didn't hear anything, but David, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, currently we can just use our current power source. Yeah, it comes with its own chargeable system, and we can just use what we have at the
Okay.
club.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. We're excited to get it. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone in the public have a question or on Zoom? Hearing none, do I have a motion for the consent calendar?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Director Dennett,
Yes.
Director Gray,
Aye.
Director O'Brien,
Yes.
Vice Chair Avila,
Aye.
Chair Freeman.
Aye.
The motion carries with unanimous vote.
Now we'll go to presentations, scheduled items and public hearings. First item is presentation of service award to Jennifer White in honor and celebration of 40 years with the district.
Thank you,
That's
Chair.
amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Laura Ballantoni, the district's recreation supervisor, will provide staff's report. And if I could get Jennifer to come forward also, that would be excellent.
You want pictures now or later?
After, yes, later.
All right, Jennifer. We have a few things to present for Jennifer. Obviously a card coming from Recreation Pool, and then also your certificate here. But of course, obviously you can't leave without me saying something memorable. Just to let you know, 40 years ago, there's 5 fun facts I want to let you know. Okay. Summer Olympics was happening 40 years ago in LA. Okay. Happy Days was canceled after 11 years. LA Raiders won a Super Bowl at that time.
Wow.
And the debut of Jeopardy also happened on that time, as well as Apple began to sell their Macintosh for $2,500.
Wow.
Okay? So just thinking back. Keep in mind that Jennifer not only worked for us, she also worked for the Simi Valley Unified School District for 9 years. She also had 2 kids during that time, and then went on to work for California Virtual Academies for 4 years. And then went to St. Peter Claver, became a preschool and kindergarten teacher for another 3 years, and then started subbing again for Simi Valley Unified. During that time, she also started to do after-school club counseling and was a site director for this park district, as well as a lifeguard and pool manager. She also volunteered for our special needs program, and then assisted with many craft fairs that we had at the time, Halloween carnivals, Splash and Dash is what we referred it to. And then also did an opening of Crestview After School Club and also Knowles After School Club. Got it right?
I think so.
Right. So currently right now she works for Peak Prep, Pleasant Valley Charter School as a homeschool academy teacher. All right. So here's my little favorite part. I created a poem, just like I always like to do, and I titled it 4 Decades, One Legend, The Jennifer White Story. Okay? In the land of RSRPD, where parks are the scene, there's a legend named Jennifer, truly a queen. For 40 grand years, she's been the star of the show, wearing hats of all kinds, as most already know. During these 40 years, she's made quite a splash in one of the many RSRPD pools at the time, with a graceful dash. In the pool, she's a marvel. Oh, what a sight. A lifeguard, a manager, she's been there day and night. But wait, there's more to this remarkable tale. She's a baking and sewing wizard, never set to fail. Her classes are lively, her lessons are neat, and you'll never leave hungry, she'll make sure you eat. Her seamstress skills, oh, they're second to none. She stitched up more projects than you could count one. From aprons to dresses, she made them with a flair, and all of her students' fabrics are handled with care. And let's not forget her dabble in the after-school clubs, a sight to behold, counseling the kiddos with stories so bold. Volunteering at events with vigor and grand, Jennifer, the heartbeat of RSRPD land. From the youth triathlon, Halloween carnivals to fairs with a twist, her helping hands is something you'd never dismiss. Jennifer White, you're beyond compare. For keep dazzling the world with your wonderful flair. 40 years of hard work and bright dedication, a true inspiration to every generation. Here's to the future as your journey ascends, celebrating you, a teacher, a mentor, and a friend. Thank you. There is one fun fact I disclosed. One fun fact I did not disclose to Laura is I started with the Park District as the volunteer Easter Bunny. It was at the time when you could wear the head over, so I oh yeah, I can do that. And 40 years, I was also hired when I was 2 years old. So. I said 10. Thank you all very much. It's been a great part-time job. My kids now work at the pools and after-school club, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, thank you. It's a long time, thank you.
All right, you guys ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Releasing a lot
Congratulations, there's generations of young people that had more fun in our community because of you. I was going to suggest that we frame that poem, but then you pulled up the poem's already framed, so I'm impressed with that. Laura, you did a great job in explaining the many reasons that she's deserved this, and I was impressed.
Yeah, congratulations. I can't even imagine 40 years. That's amazing. Thank you for your service.
How about you, Josh?
Congratulations. Thank you for everything you've done for, as everybody said, generations. Laura, that was an incredible poem. That was well done and well said. Thank you to all our staff, but thank you specifically for 40 great years and for all the work you've done for our community and for everyone's benefit.
Dr. Burns?
Oh, yeah, I just want to say, you did start working with her too. So, yeah, thank you. 40 years, wow. That's mind-boggling.
Thank you.
Great poem, too.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much. You've seen just incredible changes in this district over that 40 years, not just in programming, but in the size of the staff and the amount of property. The whole thing has just grown, and you would really a valuable part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really. Next, we have the presentation of full-time employee of the month for August 2024. It is Jesse Rivera, crew leader.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Pennington will provide staff's report, and if I could have Jose come forward, I would appreciate it.
Chair Freeman and members of the board, the full-time employee of the month for August 2024 is Jose Rivas. Jose is a crew leader with the Planning and Maintenance Department. He's been with the district for 18 years, and this is his second Employee of the Month award. The person who submitted the nomination stated, Jose consistently demonstrates exceptional performance in his role as crew leader. His hard work, dedication, and attitude have made a significant impact on the central crew and contributed to the Park District's achievements. Jose's great attributes are his work ethic, professionalism, drive, creativity, and commitment to excellence. He has also demonstrated a deep commitment to the Park District by working hard in the field with his crew and other departments. He's always willing to go the extra mile to help, and his positive attitude and unwavering support have been a true inspiration to everyone. I cannot say enough about how much Jose warrants recognition for this achievement and contributions to this organization, and therefore deserving of this award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's just a pleasure to work for the Park District, and thank you guys. It's just a great team. So just thank you.
Don't go away.
You don't get up
We're going to have a picture taken.
Jose, did you want to introduce your family you have with you?
Yes. I have Claudia here and Benjamin, my wife, and my son, 12 years old.
Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you very much.
You should be part of the picture.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Be proud of your dad.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Paul Friedeborn, Jose's supervisor, and I just want to say he not only walks the walk, he does everything that he's supposed to do. He's the kind of guy that he works with the guys, works with everyone in the field. All the patrons like him. He's done extremely well. He's got a bunch of credentials that have helped him out. He's got a backflow certification, a QAL, qualified applicator license, and he's also a driver with Class A. So he's done a great job, and we're lucky to have him. So, thank you.
Thank you.
If I could, as each time we recognize our maintenance crew, it is where the rubber meets the road in the district, and that's where the most visible thing we do is out there in the parks, keeping them safe, keeping them green, and keeping them welcoming. So, and I know you and your crew and the others are a big part of that, and I truly appreciate it. And you like Paul said, you walk the walk, and we are and have the reputation we have because of you, Jose, and your compadres in the field. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Yeah. Thank you.
Do any of the board members have additional comments?
I just want to say thank you again for all the work you do. As everybody said, the work you do and that your crew does and the entire maintenance and planning team does really is the pride and joy of our community and our region. Whenever I talk to anybody in neighboring communities, generally one of the first things they talk about are the spotless and gorgeous parks that we have, and that is literally just thanks to you all and the work that you do. So thank you very much, and it makes an absolute difference to our community and everyone who gets to live here and visit here. So thank you.
I just want to echo that. Congratulations. And it's true. It's the first thing people say about our parks is how beautiful they are. And they are. So, thank you.
And it takes dedication. Yes.
Yes, it does.
Jose, you know that we need our parks to be clean, welcoming, and safe, and you're a big part of that team that does that, so we appreciate it. And Benjamin, I want to point out how good it feels when you do a good job and you have the respect of the people that you serve, and you saw that as so many people clapped for your father because of all the good work he does.
Director Evans? Fine. Thank you again.
Congratulations.
We really, really, really appreciate all your efforts, because a lot of the population, the only thing they know is the open space and the maintenance of the parks. So it's very important. Thank you. Is there anyone on Zoom that wanted to comment, or in the public? No. Thank you very much. And it was nice having you finally here tonight.
Sure.
We'll move on to continued business, which is item A, continued discussion of, to consider approval of an agreement for consulting services between the Rancho Senior Recreation Park District and GGA Partners for the Simi Hills Golf Course market analysis, fee and rate structure analysis, and recommendations report.
Thank you, Chair and Board. As you noted, this is a continued item from our last meeting. The Board continued the discussion and didn't make a decision last time, and we're here tonight to do the same and answer the Board's questions. The Board previously approved the issuance of an RFP, which staff issued We received 3 proposals from golf-related consultants to conduct a fee and rate structure and market analysis. Following receipt of the proposals, a committee of folks, including 2 board members, Director Freeman and Director Avila, interviewed the consultants along with 3 staff. Out of that process, the group recommended that GGA partners could be considered for the engagement by the full board. As it relates, there's some alternatives here for the board to consider. One is to do the full price of the proposal or the full task involvement of the proposal, which included an identified survey. The second alternative would be to select GGA and not include the survey portion of the RFP response. The third alternative would be to select one of the other consultants. The fourth is not to approve any consultant or provide us with direction. I did want to note that Martin Zankoff, representing GGA, is available on Zoom and can answer any questions from the consultant's perspective. Staff this evening is recommending that the board consider authorizing approval of an agreement with GGA for consulting services at Simi Hills Golf Course, and also authorize the district manager to make the necessary budget adjustment to provide for the cost of the services. That concludes staff's report.
Are there questions?
I have questions, sure. Can we have, my questions are for David, or at least most of them are for David. If you-
Sure.
Hello again.
Hello.
Hi, David. So I wanted, we met about 10 days ago, and I just wanted to confirm, maybe a little longer than that, but I just wanted to confirm some of the information. Are you concerned about increasing costs in the future at the golf course?
Correct. Yeah, I have a few numbers here. Right now, we have water usage of about $520,000 annually, labor of about $1.8 million, and insurance of about $225,000. Right now, that's projected to go up about 5% a year for the next 5 years, and we really need to have our rates balance that out in order to, be able to provide what we can back to the district. So, being as sophisticated as possible with these rates is really where we need to trend to. I could help with that, but just due to my current workload, I think it would be a challenge. So that's one reason why I would recommend, because of the severity of these increases, to go with a consultant.
Without getting into specifics, do you believe the rates can be adjusted in a way to generate more revenue that we need?
I do. Yeah, we have a lot of opportunity there, whether it's non-resident, resident pricing, dynamic pricing. That could also be ceiling to floor limited based on, the votes here. Right now we're up against no-show and short show issues at the club, which happened also with our neighbors at LA City, LA County, and also our neighbors on the other side, which is Arcus Golf. So there's just many ways. Just the month of August alone, I had 315 no-shows, which was almost $15,000 in revenue that was left on the table.
So you're saying they make reservations and then don't show up?
They do, yeah, and we just have nothing to prevent that with our current technology. So there's just a lot of ways, reservation fees, prepaid fees, things like that. So I have just a list of these ideas. So that's the things I've seen in my first 30 days.
So, yeah, you answered one of my questions, which was, are there other creative ways that we can raise revenue? And the second part was, so there's nothing about what you've seen with past rate increases that would indicate to you that we've raised them too much or anything like that?
No, in fact, I'm a table touch type of manager, so I greet people on the first tee and I do things like that. I have not had one complaint in the last 30 days about rates. The complaints come from not being able to make a tee time and also slow play, which happens because we're public. So So yeah, so there's been no, and we have such a diverse customer base, which I could touch on. I mean, at any one time,
I know about this, so give a couple of examples.
Sure, I have entertainers that are there. I'm not sure if I should use their name, but Smokey Robinson popped in. I have a Hall of Famer, a basketball player named Byron Scott that plays a lot now. Paramount executives will come in. I mean, these are very high income earning people. They're not asking about what we charge. It's, do they have access to the golf course and can they play? The other day I had 3 entertainment attorneys from Santa Monica come in their Lamborghinis. I mean, they come flying in on 2 wheels and just can't wait to get to our golf course. So I just think it's a testament for our location and also how they're treated. So we really need to take a look at our rates. I mean, we do need to be aware of our residents, but also I'm not sure if the residents can keep up with our escalating costs. So we do need to find that balance and do it in the right way.
Do you see that in the future some form of dynamic, without getting into what policy we may have, but do you see that some form of dynamic pricing is inevitable in the golf industry?
I do. So I just was with a friend of mine is vice president of MDC Universal. They also own the Golf Channel. They have 8,000 golf courses in the U.S. So it is trending that way with public municipal type of golf courses. Not true dynamic pricing. We only have 2 in the area. Let me just get those notes. And that's not something we would compare us with. Just find that. Yeah, so true dynamic pricing in this area, we have Pelican Hill and Newport Beach, and we have Trump National LA. And they've been known to get $1,000 for a greens fee. That's not really what we're going for, but we do have a Florida ceiling approved rates, and that could be set by this group here, where our maximum in prime time, let's say, is $120, and then it goes down to as low as maybe $20. And that is where your dynamic pricing takes advantage of finding that extra revenue. So it's out there. I think we need to look at it in a hard way, but that is where there's a lot of trends going right now. In fact, I believe LA City courses, the 12, have just gone to that now.
Vice Chair Abula, do you mind if I ask for a clarifying question? The question about is dynamic pricing inevitable, but then you said true dynamic pricing. When we're using the broad term, because I know last session when we were talking about that, there were variations on that degree of time of day is considered that. What aspects of dynamic pricing would you consider inevitable? Are you saying true dynamic pricing is inevitable, it's going to come eventually, and don't fight the current, or is there an aspect of it that you think?
I think the ceiling to floor pricing that would be set by this group is where we would go. Yeah, we're not Torrey Pines, Bethpage Black. We're not going to go there. We can't get 4x or 5x off of normal pricing.
Yeah.
It's just not fair to our customer base, and also our property doesn't allow that just because of our amenities, things like that. But I believe so. I mean, we have to be aware of these rising costs, and our rate structure is the only thing that's going to protect that. And again, I've not received one complaint. We went up July 1st, I believe. We've not received one complaint. I know we didn't have a great incremental increase, but still, that's kind of the backbone of our business at the golf course, and I just think we need to be, hyper aware of what we're doing next.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. David, so I know you indicated to me that you have access to some data that maybe we haven't had in the district before. With that, I'll just get right to the next question. If we were to hire a consultant, do you think there's a need to pay the close to $8,000 for a survey?
I do not. We don't have the amenities for that. I just recently did a survey at my other club with the McMahon Group, which is one of probably the top in the United States. I think it was $60,000 for the survey, and we didn't really get what we were hoping for. And so, especially with a daily fee property like ours, I wouldn't recommend it.
And then my final question is this. And I'll preface it with this comment. I have no doubt that that with your resources, with your knowledge, with your philosophy, I have no doubt that you could handle taking us in the right direction in terms of pricing, in terms of I don't want to say maximizing because that would be the wrong word, but optimizing the revenue that we need. My bigger concern is this: you have other duties at the golf course, and without the benefit of this analysis, do you think you would be able to? You think you'd be able to carry out your other duties and do the pricing without the benefit of having this analysis?
So that's a very good question. So just the month of August alone, we ushered in 7,885 customers just at Simi Hills, and 4,719 at Sinaloa. So we had 12,604 guests walk through the doors, which I'm ultimately responsible for, let alone payroll standards and things like that. I will say I probably average currently around 50 hours a week, which is pretty light actually compared to what I usually do on the private side. So I think that would be, that's one of my challenges. The other, we have the Birdie Bar transition that's going to be coming up with the new concessionaire. We have the irrigation project, which is very, very important since we had another irrigation break today. It's my 4th or 5th since I've been there. And also staffing fulfillment. It's a challenge from a staff side. You know, it's not just playing golf and getting free golf and working part-time. We, especially on the turf maintenance side, only having basically 2 or 3 full-time people and the rest part-time is a challenge, and it's going to continue to be. So I want to be fully part of this. I don't know, taking on the sophisticated analysis that we deserve is something I think we could do. But also I have a long-range plan. I want the golf course to just keep getting better. And I think I really need to, continue my table touching to do that.
Director Dinner?
David, I want to start off with saying you have my support and my respect for the work that you're doing. And my question for you is, would you see this, if we were choosing to do this analysis, is augmenting what you currently do and supporting what you do and trusting your expertise?
Well, I look at it as a 5-year approach. So, whether it's $40,000 or $50,000, I look at it over for 5 years. So really, I'm looking at a service that we're getting, for $10,000 a year to help support what we're currently doing, and also knowing that we're doing it correctly. So I guess that would be my approach on that.
And do you feel that if I was choosing to vote for this tonight, would you interpret that I'm trusting your expertise? I'm asking. Because I do trust you.
I think you would. I feel confident you trust me either way. If you choose to go with the consultant, I would fully support that. I don't look at that at all as a personal trust thing. So thank you.
Director Gray?
All my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Director Ryan?
Just to refresh my memory on the costs, you said the payroll costs, and can you go over those one more time for me?
Yes, these are just 3 things that the 3 main things that really, brought to my attention. I had a $96,000 water bill in June, and I about knocked me off my chair. So water usage of $520,000, labor of $1.8 million, and insurance of $225,000. And I know that's going to be a minimum of a 5% increase a year for the next 5 years or more, and we really have to, keep up with that. I know we're as generous as we can be giving back, but we want to even do better than that. I really want us to keep that up or improve. So.
And when was the last time we had any kind of survey done? Just because I don't remember.
I want to say it was a while back. It was, I believe, 2000. I want to give you the wrong answer. I want to say 2008.
Yeah, it's been a while. Okay. And your recommendation is to go with the the contractor without the additional money for the survey?
That is correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Did you say without the survey?
Without the survey, yeah, I don't see the need. We don't have, restaurants and pools and things like that where people would want to give their, opinion and improvement ideas. So it's really just our rate structure and also the playability of the golf course, which we know is good right now.
When I look at the scope of work and what is proposed, when we went through the last rate increase, it seems to me that we had this information that is being proposed in the scope of work, like the competition, a number of plays, a number of days played based on weather. We had all of that information, plus a comparison of other amenities that might have been part of a golf course.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering what it is new that I'm going to learn from this.
Well, there's a few things that they stress. Optimizing fee structures, that's one of their expertise. Market trends, stakeholder input, competitor considerations, and booking policy recommendations. So that's one of the things that they're going to bring to the table. I wasn't here, so I'm not sure how it was presented to you last time.
But it was very thorough.
So
Have you noticed a problem in the booking system that we have?
Right now, only the no-shows and the short shows. That's going to be my biggest concern right now. And also the non-resident pricing. I'm a strong believer, and now this is just one voice, of resident versus non-resident pricing. Again, I'll go back to my friends at Torrey Pines. So their group, their council, they give 70% of their tee times to residents, tax-paying residents, and 30% to non-residents, but they can also charge 4, 5, and 6x to those non-residents to make up for it. So if you're charging $60, you're charging the non-resident $300, but they have that luxury because of their location, and they have 36 holes.
So they do it actually on a percent basis?
They do. They take their tee sheet and they break it down to where, if you do it every 10 minutes, so you would give your residents so many tee times, your non-residents so many tee times, and that's what they have found that is fair. And again, it's just something that we could consider here, because we really want to make sure our residents are taken care of, but we also need to pay our bills. So.
I mean, that's my concern, is that the people that are part of the district and the taxpayers within the district are taken care of.
Yes, and I completely agree. So I guess that percentage would be something that would have to be discussed. And I don't have that answer right now, what is fair.
But I mean, I really, it belongs to them.
Yes.
It's their course.
Yes.
All the courses are theirs.
Yeah, I think my fear though is the resident fee, the current fees, if we were to do that, we just have to be careful that it's going to keep up with our cost. I'm not here to charge anybody $200 for a fee, but I also know that if I only charge $40, we wouldn't be able to keep up with our costs. So again, that's that sophisticated balance that we need to really have our eye on. So, and you're right, the current system is not broken. We do not get complaints. We have very happy customers. So, which I think that's part of it. And I think access is the key too. I mean, that's what we're here for in our business. So these are just the balances that we need to.
I mean, I would rather have more people playing.
Right.
And having a good time.
Yes.
Than trying to limit it by fees.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't put in there though. I did have to host the Police Foundation function in August as well.
I wanted to comment on that to you, that I have had feedback. You did an incredible job.
Thank you. It was fun, and I really thought the touches we applied this year really helped. So it was nice.
I mean, you really made an impression, a good impression.
Thank you. It's
Yes.
great.
Are there other questions?
I have one question for the district manager. Well, two-part question. I guess for me, the deciding factor is this. I have no question that David could do the necessary analysis. He understands that we've missed out on revenue. and we're going to need more revenue in the future. But he has other duties. So my question is, one, do we have the capability of providing him with the support for those duties if he were to do this analysis, starting at the point that we're at right now? And if we do have the support, would that support cost us less than $50,000 over the next 5 years?
I will answer the question, then I'll let David. So we're fortunate because our course is run with a limited number of staff. David has pointed that out to me as well. He just mentioned the number of rounds and customers we have, and the number of full-time staff we have is pretty much tapped out. We have had a pretty impressive increase in number of golfers post-COVID, and we also have quite a bit of the on-field staffing. So I would say my opinion is, and knowing what I know, is that our staff out there, both on the maintenance and administrative side, is pretty tapped out, to not use a better term. And then if we want to do more creative analysis, looking at the irrigation project, looking at the concessionaire, looking at our fee structure, I always like to enhance that staff with other folks. So I don't know that we have, and I'll have David answer this, I don't know that we have the internal capability to free him from his normal day-to-day work and backfill him with other staff while still meeting the day-to-day requirements of the course, but I will let him weigh on that as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, so right now it's just myself and one other that's full-time from the operations side. We are open 7 days a week from 5:30 in the morning until 9:30 at night. And again, with the number of rounds that we play, it's some heavy lifting. So I think that's probably one of my other recommendations why I would like to go this way. I would be willing to try. I'm very good at it. I feel confident in my ability, but we just have a lot of things that we need to do now that are a priority. And again, just the concession transition and also the irrigation project. So, but I would be, no matter how you make your decision tonight, I'm 100% for it. But that's why I have my recommendation the way it is.
Let me ask a question. The gathering of this information and putting it together, if you had that kind of a staff person, maybe temporarily, to gather that information for you to put together, and you've been really busy because of the golf tournament, would that help you? Or would it still be better for the consultant?
So it would help. Those charts, analytics, PowerPoints that I would like to see have happen. Also, just coming to the board meeting and explaining and justifying these rates. But I mean, it would definitely help. I don't know if that's the complete solution. As we get busier, these projects are going to take a lot of time. So I guess that's just it. If the rates weren't as important, it may be different. But I just think it's such a priority for the operation of the golf course and the health of the golf course. So I mean, really, if you look at a 5-year plan over, you're looking at $10,000 a year. That's a help. I mean, even if we hired somebody part-time admin to do this, that surely would assist things. But I also want to make sure that you're comfortable with that as well. One thing about a consultant is, they are the expert in the room. But I'm not trying to go away from helping. I would do it if that's what you would like. That's just how I'd like to present it right now. So.
Are there other questions? So my question is, you haven't been really there. I mean, you've been really busy. You're new, and you're getting your feet wet, so to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Things will probably settle into some kind of routine for you, I would think. I mean, you'll get used to whatever the flows are of people and so
yes.
on.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Do you think you need more time to evaluate before a consultant is hired?
I don't think so. Yeah, I feel confident. I can do it either way. I still think the best product would be with the consultant as far as getting the details that are required. Again, my resources I have great resources. And I have them all over the country, and I have parks, services, and city golf courses that are my friends. So I have a lot more resources than I think our past manager had. And I have, with my 2 associations, I have a very deep network. But I also want to do this the correct way that's going to benefit us, since it's such a big decision. So, again, I'm very happy either way, and I'm going to strongly support whatever decision you make.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are there other questions? Thank you, David.
Okay, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Is there anyone in the public that would like to address this issue? Anyone on Zoom? I don't know if the consultant wanted to say anything. I think he's on mute.
Yeah, I'm just here to answer any questions, but yeah, just would appreciate the opportunity. And yeah, like David said, as he sees it as a 5-year investment, we see it similarly. The golf business is one that has a very high operating leverage, and what that means in layman's terms is that to a high degree your expenses are very fixed, and just an incremental improvement in your revenue can disproportionately to the upside benefit your bottom line and what the golf system ultimately contributes to the district. And just seeing that change from pre-COVID to now, the boost in rounds and how the underlying operating income has changed. I think just in a way what I'm saying is the secret to the golf business is small incremental improvements to the top line, and if we can help improve that even just 1%, it would make a significant improvement to what the golf system generates.
Thank you.
Of course.
I'll close any public comment. Is there a comment, Director Evelyn or Director Gunner?
I think it's a good idea to hire the consultant. I don't see the need for the survey, and my vote in favor of it's going to be because I see it as supporting our staff and helping our staff to do their assigned tasks, not because we don't trust our staff, that they are our experts and give us expert advice. And I think this will help them to do their job better, and also with your limited time to be able to work on customer service and greeting our customers and finding out their needs there. I do have a concern that if it gives us data, if it will be actionable. As an example, if it gives us 10 suggestions and we look at those and say, well, the public wouldn't like any of those, so thanks for your report, and we're not going to do any of them, and we shelved it. I wouldn't like that. But I think it will give us some choices that we can make, because I also have that goal of long-term financial stability for the golf course, and I would like it to have customer service where it's fair and transparent. I'm going to mention that we all pay, and you pay in one way or another. If the price is really low and you can never golf, well, you're paying, you just don't get to golf. You're paying with your time, sitting on the website hitting refresh. So if you can never golf and you're only free Saturday mornings and it's never open, well, okay. And if you can only golf once a month because it's always full and you're willing to pay a little bit more, well, you're paying by not being able to golf too. So even if we get our cost or our round fees really low, somebody's paying by not being able to use it too.
There ain't no such thing as free lunch.
Correct.
Director Gray?
Sure. So I do want to emphasize, and I like what Vice Chair Avila said, I believe when you corrected your verbiage, you used the word optimize, and I think that really hit the nail on the head of what I'd like to do. We, plenty of us have talked about public access versus profitability and balancing both, and that's what I really want to emphasize, that I would like this to be a practice of optimizing and doing that, and with the staff input that this would be helpful, and it's a powerful tool and it helps them do their job better. That gives me confidence that this is worth the investment for the Park District and for the community. But I do want to treat it as an effort to optimize and not just treating any service, including the golf course, like a money tree that whenever, something happens, let's just go, bang on one constituency and being like, you're now gonna pay so we can subsidize or do other things. And I do wanna continue to set that there's a preference of mine that we support youth golfers and other, the high schools in their golfing to make that tolerable with the equation of optimizing this that, in my opinion, everything isn't all equal. The youth should have the capacity and the access to go golfing with their teams. And as long as we maintain public access, I would fully support, optimizing and seeing what we can do. Director Denner, I do want to mention though that the 10 suggestions that we can't follow through could be a reality. I think it's still worth the exercise of trying to optimize and do everything we can. But we don't know what we don't know yet. But that being said, I would absolutely support this without the survey.
Yeah, I was a little on the fence about this at first because, you want to be careful spending the taxpayers' money. But then hearing David's take on it, I'm inclined to go with his advice. He's the guy that's there seeing what's happening right in the middle of it, where the rubber meets the road or the golf ball meets the field or whatever you want to say.
Grass.
There you go. So I think that I'm recommend we follow his advice. It's kind of like when you're really busy, you hire someone to clean your house and you get DoorDash and stuff instead of doing all that yourself. Farm out those things you can't get to and then optimize your life. So I would agree with Director Gray that we do the consultant without the survey. Director Ello?
Sure. This is a really close call. I'm the one who suggested that we get a golf consultant in the first place, but that was at a time when we didn't have David. And one of the things that I've been trying to emphasize, whether it's golf, whether it's anything else that we do as a park district, is different employees bring different talents and different levels of expertise to the table. And David's got a lot of talent and expertise, and particularly in the area that we're discussing tonight, which is the analysis of fees. And the reason this is so tough for me is the bottom line is, I think because of that talent and expertise, we probably don't really need a consultant. However, for me, I guess the deciding factor, and it is a really close call, is this is not the only duty that David would have, and we are transitioning. We've had a period of 5 years where we've gone back and forth from being more aggressive and less aggressive with fees, and it's becoming clear that whether in some form we needed to be more aggressive about getting more revenue. And now we have that opportunity with David, but he has other duties as well. And because of the back and forth for 5 years, for the entire staff, for the board, for our residents, there probably would be a comfort level and probably gaining some confidence in getting some more expertise, even though it's unclear that we really need it to this point. At the end of the day, because David indicates that given all circumstances, he would prefer to have it, that sort of tips the scales for me, and I will vote that we hire the consultant, but I definitely don't see the need for the survey.
As you all know, I have not been in favor of the consultant. I know that we have so much data, and I know that we could respond to, I think we could develop a plan to respond to resident versus non-resident. I think that, to me, is probably one of the points that could improve the bottom line. That being said, I still think 55,000 could be better spent in other parts of the district. It's the taxpayers' money. I have a hard time on consultant fees in general. But David has convinced me that it's probably a good investment. And since he has fresh eyes on the subject and is out there with the people and he knows he's had a good response, he's had a wonderful response and the people are happy. I just want to make sure that the people that live within the district are prioritized above those that are outside the district. And with that, I'll call for a motion.
I'll move approval of alternative 2,
I'll
unless
second.
Vice Chair Avila would like to make
No,
a
it's
motion.
fine, I'll second.
Okay.
Roll call?
Director Tedder,
Yes.
Director Gray,
Aye.
Director O'Brien,
Yes.
Vice Chair Avila,
Aye.
Chair Freeman.
Yes.
That motion carries with a unanimous vote.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. Item 9, authorization to solicit public bids for the Dare Hill Pickleball Court conversion project in Oak Park.
Thank you, Chair and Board. Wayne Nakaoka, the District's Director of Planning and Maintenance, will present staff's report.
Thank you. Chair Freeman, members of the board, on October 23rd, 2023, the board reviewed and discussed the utilization of tennis courts and pickleball courts in Oak Park. After considering the various options and receiving public testimony, Director Avila made a motion to convert the tennis courts at Deer Hill Park to 6 permanent pickleball courts. This motion was seconded by Director O'Brien, and the motion carried with a 4-to-1 vote. At the request of the Ventura County Planning Department, staff presented the project to the Oak Park Municipal Advisory Committee on February 29, 2024. The Oak Park MAC was in favor of the project as presented by staff. Plans and specifications for this project were prepared in-house by district staff. They were submitted to the County Planning Department for an entitled permit adjustment. We received that the project's been deemed complete. We have the adjustment approved on July 25th of 2024. Staff submitted plans to the county's Building and Safety Department on October 2nd, 2024. Unfortunately, we still don't have any results. Building safety's a little backed up. They're asking for 30 to 45 days for the first plan check review. Funding for this project is marked in the district's budget in the amount of $202,000 under the Capital Outlay Fund, Fund 50. At this time, staff is requesting board authorization to solicit bids for the Deer Hill Park pickleball court conversion projects. And I'll answer any questions that you have.
Questions?
Just one, given where we're at right now, if we were to follow the recommendations, when do you think the project will be completed?
I'm hoping, or I talked to some of the Oak Park people, I promised them to get it done before New Year's. It is possible. Our public bid for this project will probably be 3 weeks. We know the contractors involved that do pickleball court construction. We probably award a contract in November, and if we can get it done in 45 to 30 days, I'll meet that deadline. But I'm surprised. I'm quite sure we'll probably get it done before February of next year.
How solid is that number, do you think, the cost?
$202,000. It's going to be really close. Based upon the estimates that we've been getting or compiling, I'm going to say that's the low end of it. We may need a little bit more additional funding for the project.
Any questions? Is there anyone in the public? Anyone on Zoom? I see Danny Sue is on there.
Danny, any public comment on the Deer Hill pickleball courts?
She must have us muted. Okay. Any other comments? I will just say that I didn't vote for the conversion initially.
Yes.
And I still don't think it's the right thing to do for the people that live at Deer Hill. And I just look at the limited financing that they have available in Oak Park. And this doesn't seem to me to be the best use of their dollars. But that being said, I will call for a vote.
I'll make the motion to authorize staff to solicit public bids for the Deer Hill Park pickleball court conversion project.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Director Jennings,
Yes.
Director Gray,
Aye.
Director O'Brien. Yes. Vice Chair Avila,
Aye.
Chair Freeman.
No.
The motion carries with the 4-1 vote with Chair Freeman voting no.
Chair, before we move on to the next item, separate than that motion but related to the issue, before we had brought up to convert those courts, I tried to work with their school district to discuss, to even consider working at their middle school like we did with the middle schools here. And that conversation did not go anywhere. So we did try to explore, I tried to at least explore as many opportunities as possible, but the school district was resistant to exploring opportunities for the community. So this wasn't my first choice, but it was the only choice I saw.
Perhaps there'll be some follow-up discussions with the district that things can be worked out. I'll move on to review and approve proposed Rancho Scenic Recreation Park District Mental Health and Wellness Initiative.
Thank you, Chair and Board. Danielle June will provide staff's report.
First, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Is this the actual day?
Tomorrow. Yes. So thank you. Thanks, Alex. There we go. All right. Good evening, Chair, members of the board. As part of the direction by the Board of Directors, staff has been working on a long-term goal to enhance mental health and wellness in the district. Staff have been working internally as well as with local agencies to outline the role for Rancho Scenic Recreation and Park District within the community and to enhance opportunities for mental health and wellness. District staff have held meetings with inter-county behavioral health staff to understand available resources, to understand the county's role in mental health, as well as the perceived role of Rancho Scenic. Through these meetings and ongoing partnerships with Adventist Health Simi Valley Unified School District, Simi Youth Council, and Simi PD, RSRPD has gained a better understanding of our role related to mental health in our community. Following these community partner and internal discussions, staff have identified 4 important areas of focus: general education, specific education, community partnerships, and healthy employees. Each of these have helped us develop the Rancho Scenic Mental Health and Wellness Initiative provided for you in your board packet. At this time, I would like to walk through the 4 areas of focus. Maybe. There we go. One of the 4 key areas is general education. This can be accomplished through continuing support for national, state, county, and local campaigns and initiatives. At a national level, Rancho Scenic is dedicated to supporting organizations like NRPA, the National Recreation and Park Association, who have wellness initiatives such as the Outdoors for All Act, Suicide Prevention Week and Month, and Mental Health Awareness Month. At the state level, organizations such as CPRS, California Parks and Recreation Society, have wellness initiatives such as Parks Make Life Better, and that Rancho Scenic continues to support. The Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights, adopted by the California Roundtable on Recreation Parks and Tourism, is a bill that staff have also promoted. Staff has shown support for the county by disseminating Ventura County behavioral health resources created by the experts in their related fields and promoting the county's Wellness Everyday website, which is literally Wellness Everyday. Our agency has also created internal documents such as the Before and After School Club Procedural Manual and Aquatics Procedural Manual that reflect the importance of mental health, applicable resources, and steps in supporting suspected concerns. Future efforts include enhanced promotion of programs and events through the What's Next campaign, which you'll start to see more of. Our next area of focus is specific education.
Specific education can be used to promote physical, mental, and social well-being through recreation programs offered by the district. RSRPD provides over 3,000 individual activities that participants can take over the course of a year, including fitness classes, sports activities, social interests, special interests, meditation, and mindfulness, as well as much more. The mobile recreation program continues to be successful in engaging directly with kids that may not have the resources to participate in fee-based programming. By taking programs to specific neighborhoods, youth who might normally be indoors after school are now given opportunities to interact with other youth in a safe, supervised outdoor environment. Our staff, who also serve as mentors, provide opportunities for youth to try new sports, crafts, or activities right in people's own neighborhood. The Trail Guide promotes exploration of the open spaces and encourages interactions with nature. The guide is available at all community centers and is distributed at district and community events. Speaking of many of our events, including the new Wellness Expo, these encourage interaction with the outdoors. The annual family campout creates opportunities for families to camp under the stars at a local park, where the annual medallion hunt encourages participants to get outside and visit a variety of parks with unique features. The annual Age 50 Plus Community Games encourages physical activity, but also provides social experiences for potentially isolated seniors. Other events such as Snowfest, Arts Fest, Wheels in Motion, and Junk in the Trunk provide opportunities for people to gather and participate in unique experiences together. Our next focus is community partnerships. Community partnerships have already been valuable to the Park District's efforts to improve mental health. We currently have partnerships with Adventist Health Simi Valley, who sponsors the mobile rec program. Free classes and workshops provided by the Simi Valley Youth Council and Simi Valley Library and our facilities are used by health providers and nonprofit organizations to educate and train individuals on a routine basis. Going forward, staff would like to improve and add to our offerings through collaborations with Simi PD and Simi Unified School District. We will also be extending additional opportunities for experts in the field to utilize district facilities for additional mental health trainings or for the community to obtain resources. Rancho Simi hopes its partnership with Adventist Simi Health through the mobile rec program will allow for on-site health education and potentially health screenings. Regarding classes and workshops, Rancho Simi has offered free mental health first aid trainings through the county, as well as parenting classes known as Triple P, or the Positive Parenting Program, through Interface Family Services since 2014. Each year, the City of Simi Valley's Youth Council meets at their youth summit to identify specific community topics or concerns. In partnership, Rancho Simi has supported awareness campaigns on anti-bullying and suicide prevention, as well as supported initiatives to unplug from technology. We have also co-hosted events and workshops with the public library for over 10 years. Rancho Simi continues to be a host site for trainings related to physical and mental health. Nonprofits and health organizations such as Blue Shield have utilized our facility to host awareness events and workshops. With regard to staff trainings, Rancho Simi works in collaboration with local agencies who have expertise in the training areas of interest. For example, appropriate staff recently participated in our active shooter training that was provided by the Simi Valley Police Department. In addition, Simi Valley Unified School District was able to share resources about suicide prevention and mental health awareness that were shared with all of the before and after school club site directors. Districts within the California Parks and Recreation Society have also provided local roundtable events that staff have participated in to allow them to have discussions and discuss best practices for mental health and well-being. Our final focus is healthy Rancho Simi employees. This is a critical piece of our effort. This can be achieved through increased training opportunities for staff to identify a need and obtain resources for themselves, coworkers, or participants. Staff are committed to developing training materials to enhance the ability to report mental health concerns and redirect them through proper channels at all levels of participation. Park rangers currently have the most direct contact with individuals suffering from mental health issues and can continue to receive trainings necessary to safely engage with this population in the community. RSRPD also offers our employees resources to improve their own mental health and well-being through Capri Counseling Services, Family Medical Leave Act, annual sick leave, accessibility to human resources, and discounts in Rancho Simi programs. To effectively accomplish the 4 focus goals, staff has developed the following implementation plan. Starting first with a centralized effort, a committee will be developed to organize the initiative, expectations, and provide regular evaluation. The action plan will then engage employees across all departments and positions who will have position-appropriate tasking related to the overall goals and purpose of the initiative. Staff will be trained on the initiative with regular communication and be retrained as part of the ongoing effort. Finally, feedback and review processes for all employees will allow the committee to enhance the initiative or make necessary adaptations. Staff will continue to enhance their internal resources and communications as it relates to mental health and wellness. These resources might be district-wide or used within specific program areas. The documents on the screen above were created by Community Outreach Public Information Officer Richard Leno. External resources such as these have been provided by the county. The Everyday Wellbeing ad was featured in our latest activity guide. Other pamphlets and brochures are being distributed to all community centers to be made available to staff and the community at large. Rancho Simi will continue to work with the county to provide up-to-date brochures and pamphlets. Staff can answer any questions at this time. Otherwise, it is the staff's recommendation that the board discuss and review the Rancho Simi Mental Health and Wellness Initiative and provide direction to implement if desired.
Questions, Dr. Allen?
Yeah, I do have some questions. I want to start off with a couple general questions for you, Danielle. Then I have one for Zach. And then I'm going to come back with a couple specific ones for you. Let me find my questions, though. All right. So in terms of putting this proposed initiative together, who worked on this?
It was actually a variety of people. So myself, Zach, Richard, Dan assisted.
Okay. The Wellness Expo we're talking about, is that the event that took place in Oak Park?
Correct.
So I assume that was organized by Sandra?
Yes.
Okay. Zach, you're up. You don't even really have to answer this question. If you want to make it rhetorical, you can.
Okay.
But I'm going to ask the question. It's not the most important question here, but I have to ask it. I would be neglecting my duty if I didn't. So I'm going to preface it with a couple bits of information. The American College of Sports Medicine conducts annual survey trends. And in both 2023 and 2024, the number 2 trend was worksite health promotion, and emphasized in its explanation of that being a trend was the importance of access to fitness facilities, which plays a role in increasing workplace productivity and improving mental health. For the first time in the top 10 this past year was exercise for mental health. The number 3 trend the past 2 years has been fitness for older adults, with the emphasis being muscle strengthening, which keeps cognitive function and improves quality of life. So all of these things center around the concept of mental health and workplace mental health, which is one of the emphasis of our of this proposed initiative. Taking all that into account and understanding that that whoever the previous occupant of this facility was, there was a fitness room there with showers in activity room 4. Do you really still think it was a good idea to recommend that we not have a weight room?
Yes.
All right, Danielle?
I agree.
Danielle? Has a public survey been done for this proposed initiative?
We have not done a public survey, but we have taken information from, again, kind of the national resources as well as state, particularly NRPA and CPRS. They have quite robust programs.
But
We pulled
not
them up.
not our local community or within the district.
I would say no, not specifically.
Okay. Have other staff and other employees been surveyed or consulted, and specifically as it would relate to the healthy employee aspect of the initiative?
I personally have not done it throughout the whole district. I do have within my program areas of oversight, so particularly the after school club and the pool, we do stress mental health quite a bit.
And has there been any discussion or consideration given to, and again, I'm not an expert on this, I'm just, whether it's part of phase 3 of the activity center, or whether it's at the different community centers, wellness stations, or something to that effect?
I think in regard to the activity center, I do think multi-purpose rooms allow us to have diverse programming. So I think you had mentioned in your survey as well that some of the older adults, we're seeing them do a lot of like the chair yoga or things like that. So they're not able to get on the floor maybe the way that they would before. So we have those additional opportunities.
Okay, those are my questions. I'll have plenty of comments. Those are my questions.
Danielle, and I know it wasn't just you, but going through this process, obviously you had a lot of touch points in the community, and thank you for doing that. I know in our, with Vice Chair Alba and I, when we met with you all and kind of talked about our general ideas, I know there were a lot of ideas thrown out there, and so this was a very big net to throw out, and this has been outstanding work, thank you. And I'm glad to see it's a continuing process, which I think it should be. I'm curious though, from that point to this point and all the touch points you've interacted with, is there something you think the district has made the most progress on? And it could be unexpected, but something that you thought, like, we're doing something much better now than we were before because we were able to look at it through a new lens.
I would say personally for the programs that I oversee, I would focus more on the healthy employees. I feel like we've really done a better job of educating our staff of what resources are available, or identifying staff that maybe are near a mental health crisis or maybe in need of just a simple day off. So I think that through some of these trainings, our staff have been a little bit more in touch with recognizing those potential symptoms. So for me personally, I would say that's where I've seen the most area of growth.
Zach, did you have interest in your own perspective as well?
I think the conversation lends itself to eye-opening a little bit. I would say that even in our conversations about how to present this information, this broad topic to how it relates to a specific segment of what we try to do as an agency, these topics lend themselves to further discussion and probably more awareness of what we are doing. I was struck by all the great things that the county was doing that I really wasn't in touch with. So even the collaboration, the meetings with them initially was eye-opening to me, that they have this Wellness Everyday program, that they're pushing out this material. It seemed like a lot of this stuff exists and we just haven't really collected it and really put it under one umbrella. So our relationship with the school district, the healthcare providers of the community, the county, really started to formulate through Danielle and Richard's work primarily into this concept of our role amongst many other agencies that are trying to do this for the community. So I believe that just, again, putting a spotlight on it, putting some awareness on it, as we did it, and ultimately as you guys potentially approve this initiative, will impact the community in a positive way.
Director Gray, if I could.
Yes, please.
I would also note the need for resources. We talk about internal resources and external resources. You know, this stuff, there's a lot of, we talk about it, there's things that happens, but we've got to have human resources and people to spread the word and educate and doing a lot of what this says. So we put ourselves in a position with various positions to better educate, do better outreach, do a better job communicating the link from our healthy programs to wellness every day. So that just doesn't happen. It takes additional resources to do that. And I think our staff with Danielle and Zach and our recreation staff and our community outreach officer are all tools that we have, so that when the board would like to enhance and broaden our impact in this area, we have the human resources to be able to do that internally, in the capacity to do it. And I think the board's done a good job of doing that.
And you don't have to answer this either. I, out of curiosity though, of the many organizations you spoke with, was there one or two that struck you as most interested in further engagement and really invested in it? I do notice, as you already mentioned, two of them in the county and the school district, and I noticed both of them feature heavily throughout the report. But do you think one of those partners, or both, or a different partner, is going to be the greatest area for growth moving forward, that we can really continue a really fruitful relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I think the county is the key here. I will say that their expertise, their education and background, their ability to connect with
They have a bit more money.
And there are some resources being thrown in this general area through the state funding and through local funding to try to improve conditions in communities. So I think their excitement that we were reaching out to them, and the fact that they don't have maybe as many resources localized here currently, that we could be an agency to help achieve the goal on this side of the county was exciting for us, because we want to tiptoe a little softly through this, as not having an education or background in this. We want to lean on the people that do it best and know what they're doing, know how to do it correctly, and lean on the people that have made their careers of this stuff. Me and Danielle try really hard, but we're not the experts in mental health. So I think that the breadth and the scope of what the county can do and how they can impact the community locally through our efforts, through our coordination, will go a long way to help, overall.
And I know this is a statement, but on the topic of the county and the question, if at any point staff or Dan yourself think it would be helpful to have like director outreach to either Supervisor Parvin or CEO Johnson, I'm happy to either make those introductions or force a topic of conversation, or make that push for some more resources on East County, because I definitely am part of the conversations. You have a lot over there on West County, and I haven't heard, the phone hasn't rung for East County. So.
And I will echo Zach. They were also very pleased to know they could have access to these facilities, that they could use them for training.
Good.
So that was definitely encouraging for us too, to hear that not only do we want them to come down, they definitely were interested in using
I'm really glad to hear that, because I know if we have one set of tools and they have others, if we can do a lot together.
Location is definitely our tool.
Yes.
Josh, I'm gonna add one thing. If you're gonna reach out to Supervisor Parvin, make sure you reach out to Supervisor Garrell too, because our
Garrell
district
Park.
falls within.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yes, both supervisors can bring either one. Both. Thank you all. That's all my questions.
Director O'Brien? I just have a concern, a question, it's sort of a question. I know we're already kind of overextended here, and with time, with the shortage of employees and spread pretty thin. Is this going to burden anyone, this whole thing? I mean, we're sort of pro mental health here at the Park District anyway, because we promote things like good health and exercise, recreation, all of which helps. So we're kind of a large part of the way there, but obviously there's always room for improvement. I don't want any of our staff to be any more overextended than they are. Can you comment on that a little?
Yeah, we have similar concerns, just that we do things and we do them well, and that we give enough time for the policy direction that you guys give us. I think we developed this initiative with that kind of thought in the back of our brain. We didn't want to overextend ourselves. We thought these were achievable within our existing resources. That being said, if the board has direction to go bigger in one direction, or advocate significant staff time to any of this, I think we would want to have a conversation about the budget impacts. I believe that what we've got presented tonight, we can build into the fold and kind of achieve. That being said, if one of these initiatives or one of these aspects of the initiative lend itself to more work or additional work because it is making an impact, I believe we would probably come back and talk to you guys about the need for staffing or professionals that can help us kind of guide, where this might go if it's successful.
Okay. That's it, that's all my big concern.
Are these agencies, like the county, there's various divisions within the county. So I don't know who exactly in the county you were talking to, but are they going to promote the district's programs as well? I mean, did they agree to promote all of our programs to help their program?
Yes, in short, yes. They're definitely going to be utilizing our activity guide. They were very impressed by the robust offerings that we have. So they were definitely, like I said, as much interested as coming down here and sharing our resources up there as well.
And what do they have down here?
They don't have the physical locations, right? So I think they're doing a lot of stuff. They're trying. I think they're trying to create those things on this side of the county, but they're not here yet. I believe some of this additional funding will ultimately get them to brick and mortar kind of facilities where they can do some of this work. I think one of the key things that we've explored with them already is some of these rooms, as we know, sit empty and are available in the evenings. And so if they need to bring a group here, we could give those away. We could permit those for free, kind of, or within the board's kind of discretion there, as they ramp up their resources, as they use this money more effectively in the community. So, in my mind, I think we are a spark to the match. We are gonna help them get out there quickly and get people connected to them, and then ultimately give them the locations where they can not have people travel to the other side of the county to connect to the brick and mortar, maybe kind of facilities that they might need for the more severe cases.
Did we reach out to the free clinic as an example with all our programs? Because they have really expanded their services there now.
They do, yes, and they have a really good relationship with Fred, so we have reached out to him with regards to this, and in regard to mobile rec as well.
And what exactly is Adventist Health? How would that partnership work?
So we're actually in the beginning stages of the partnership, so that's why they're right now kind of just coming into the forefront of being a mobile rec partner. So we've offered them on-site access. So when we go out to the parks and we're interacting with the kids, we've offered them the opportunity to either provide us with resources or to be on-site themselves. So they are making a commitment to be on-site at the parks and potentially do some health screenings or health education.
Okay. And what is the school district doing exactly?
So school district now has resources that they train their staff with. So they did a pretty extensive training this last school year on suicide prevention, mental health awareness, and like identifying any of those key symptoms. So they actually shared all those resources in the training with us. So we were able to then use the resource they provided to their teachers, which again for our after school clubs creates continuity between the two. So whenever we have a situation after school club, our first response is to go to the school to see if they also were having that same situation, let's say with a child or a family. So I would say our increased collaboration is we're now having access to the resources that they have.
I just think that our advertising is going to be critical because most people don't put two and two together. That all these activities are very positive for their mental health as well as their physical condition. So how we approach the public as what we offer as a mental health positive, I think it's going to be really critical.
We definitely need to brag more.
Yeah. We've already tasked our community outreach officer with a campaign after approval, in theory tonight, that we could start finding creative ways to get the word out and to connect the dots between those two things, the recreational, physical, emotional, social well-being with the mental health component. So you're absolutely right. It doesn't do any good unless we get it into people's faces and let them understand that it exists, and we will continue to try to do that for sure.
I mean, I'm thinking the library, all ages, right? And the senior center. And we already have programs there, so I can see that as a real benefit. Are there other questions? No? Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this issue? Is there anyone on Zoom? Seeing none? Any board comments?
Yes. So first of all, I do appreciate the research, the detailed outlining. The concern, I have two concerns with the proposed initiative as it is. I think it does an excellent job probably taking us about 2/3 of the way there. I don't think it takes us the whole way there. The second problem I'll get to in a minute. What I would ideally like to see, but I'm not going to recommend it in this situation, is what I'd like to see in any important task that we take on as a district, and there seems to be an aversion to it, and that is surveying the public. I don't think this particular issue is the one to start an experiment with that. It's a tricky issue, and I don't know that it's the place to start, but I think that would have been ideal. I do, however, think that before we have any final proposed initiative, there does need to be significant input and significant surveying and actually listening to and hearing from all of the staff and all of the employees. Because as it pertains to what we can do as a district, the employee health part of it, to me, is the most important part that we can focus on as a district. And I want to commend, I know one of the terms that was used in the proposed initiative and in the outline of it was that what we're looking at doing is preventative, because obviously we as a park district can't provide all the services that you would provide for mental health, and what we need to be focused on is preventative. But that's all the more reason why getting full information and getting survey information is important. And with that, you find out whether there's gaps in what's being proposed and what else can be done. The other thing that I think is important to detail is what we're going to do as far as how we're going to share the information with the public and with the employees. And that's why I asked the question of, would it make sense to have wellness stations at each of the community centers? Is there going to be one here at the activity center? Something that defines that a little better. Are we actually going to have a wellness program? And again, a wellness program is something that can pertain to the public. It's something that can pertain to employees. For me, those types of things haven't been well defined. Now, in and of itself, all of those would not prevent me from supporting the initiative at this time, but I do think it would be a stronger initiative if we fulfill those things. What will keep me from supporting the initiative at this time is what I'm about to speak about, and that's the methodology. And this goes not fully, but in part, to what Kate was saying. I am concerned about, and especially as it relates to the methodology, how it's going to affect our employees. And those are the people that with our wellness plan and with our initiative, those are the people that we're trying to look out for. And what I don't want to see is have our staff as a whole and have our employees as a whole burdened with extra tasks, getting extra approvals, that type of thing. And I know that, and again, I'm just going to say this, it's probably become somewhat obvious because of my passion for the issue of mental health, but I'm going to say it. Michael Phelps did it, Simone Biles did it. I know, and especially as it relates to the workplace, about issues of anxiety and stress and depression. And this district and the way this district is run is outdated in terms of how we function. And we're not a military base. We are a park district. People want to come work here because it's exciting to work for a park district. We focus on recreation. We focus on the Department of Fun. And when I see a methodology that is going to, that talks about communicating expectations regularly to employees and to decentralizing, there have been a couple situations in the past several years where we have created situations where we have employees that are at the same level, or in a situation where the employee could arguably be someone who's subordinate, and they're dictating to other employees how they should be doing their work. Other employees, rather than getting help from someone that's supposed to be helping them, are being told what to do. They're being given extra approvals. It's like a bureaucracy within a bureaucracy. We need to make life easier for our employees. You can throw out all of the outlines you want and all of the different things we're going to do and what we're doing, and we are doing a lot as a district, and I appreciate that about the outline. But when you create a methodology that is putting extra pressure on employees, that is putting an extra burden on employees, and that is dictating to employees, you're not helping their mental health. You're causing their mental health to deteriorate. And that's something that needs to be looked at, not just in terms of this initiative, but in terms of the way this district operates as a whole. I wasn't going to use this as the opportunity to bring it up, but when I read this 24 hours ago, it's the one part that I couldn't get away from. It's the general aspect of the methodology that's being proposed, and it's a couple examples specifically of how that methodology has been executed in this district in recent years. And there is no way in hell that I am going to support an initiative that is going to cause the mental health of our employees to deteriorate because of the methodology of that initiative. I know about depression and anxiety and stress at the workplace. And this methodology and the way this methodology has been implemented by this district is not going to help the health of our employees. It's going to have the reverse purpose. So I think we need to take a look at that. And if we're really serious about a mental health initiative, I can tell you from personal experience, that's something that requires a lot of soul searching within the staff of this district. What we do need, and it may well be someone who's in this room right now, it may not, but we do need someone to coordinate this program who has a passion for mental health, who has a passion for wellness, who's willing to be there not just to advise, but to help employees on the issue when they need the help, to put in the work, not to have someone go through approvals or attend endless numbers of meetings, but to help them, because with that you will help employee health and you will help employee productivity. That is the problem with this initiative. The other things can evolve over time. This part cannot evolve over time. And that is why not only can I not support this initiative as it is right now, but I strongly oppose it. And what was an awesome amount of good work up to that point falls way short when it gets to the methodology.
Director Dinner?
I saw Josh had his hand up.
Go ahead.
Ed, I understood most of your comments. I was a little bit I would need clarification a little bit later about the methodology partly referring to. I do have a suggestion that maybe we look at this initiative in two different ways. One is internal, one's external, like what we could provide for our employees to help them with the same issues that the public would have. But it might be different tools to do that. For our employees, I'd like to see education on how to access their benefits. Sometimes you don't realize your healthcare benefits covers not just counseling, but sometimes massage therapy. There's lots of things that are sometimes in your benefits you might not realize that'd be good for your physical and mental health. I would be interested in, not necessarily, we've already chosen the setup for the activity center, but if there's a workout room or a discounted gym membership as a part of their annual employee benefits and salary, if that's something our employees think that they would use and we could negotiate with that, I'd be interested in seeing that. Separately than that, referring to the report, the youth council was mentioned. I would like to bring up that the youth council could meet here more often. I know we participate in their yearly event, but I'd like to see them maybe give us more advice and what they would like to see. And that could be them meeting here before a meeting like we've done before. I appreciate that. And then I do like that part of it where we're bringing in resources, and maybe we could have conversations about low fees for rentals if they're bringing their resource here, so we see a public benefit. But then we discount the room to make sure it's affordable to the group doing it. I like that part of it. Elaine, I liked what you said about 2+2, like adding up. I saw in the report, I would like feedback from my fellow board members and our staff, but I see in the report it's labeled mental health and wellness. And I understand what that might mean, but I think if we combine it as mental health and physical and mental health, it makes more sense for what we're trying to do. Because Elaine, what I heard you say was 2+2, like I see your mental health and your physical health going together and each contributing to the other one. So, and I see mental health and wellness is kind of redundant. It's similar ideas, but maybe it's just me, the way I'm seeing it. Exercise is more effective than some medicines for different types of mental health. That said, I'm not saying don't take your medicine. I'm saying imagine the powers of it combined. So if you need your medicine, take it, but also your physical health. The stat that I see so impressive is 20 minutes in green area reduces stress, heart disease, blood pressure, and improves mental health. And I see that in the report, like some of the advertisements I've seen, where it's saying like the benefits of it, but the actual steps I'd like to see in the marketing. Like, oh, this is good, do this specific task. As an example, it says spend time together. Text a relative you haven't spoken to lately because many people suffer from loneliness. I do like what you said. We are a healthcare preventive agency. We're a healthcare agency. We don't just manage parks, but we manage parks for people for a good reason. And so I would like to see that part, like we're preventing physical and mental health issues later by doing that. That brings me to my last point for now. It's a part of this report, but sometimes you could try to treat an issue that's immediate. I apologize, I have one other point. Or you could plan for the future. And so for plan for the future to reduce the physical and mental health issues of adults, we have that tool, the California Children's Bill of Rights, and I'd like to use our after-school clubs as a tool to get that done. And that's one of those long-term things. It's by the time you enter 9th grade, if you do a following task and you've done them, you're more likely to be physically strong and mentally strong as an adult. That means, the reason I bring it up in this context is because our previous comments about can our staff handle it. If that means our staff would like to put funding in our annual budget, I'm open to that. For the supplies they might need, I would like to see data, like what percentage of our kids in our after-school club can identify local animals. I like to get them the supplies they might need for art supplies or whatever else it might be. And I do want to say I'm open to interpretation of the Outdoor Bill of Rights. Like we don't have a boating program. Okay, maybe that's not exactly achievable. We'll just move on from that part. Catch a fish or a frog. I'm open to interpretation because it's a vision document, not a specific. But for that, I would like to see a couple things, action, that we don't just raise awareness, like saying, hey, here's the California Outdoor Bill of Rights. I want us to do the California Outdoor Bill of Rights. And I think it's achievable at a small funding level because we already have the students, and we already do many of these things, we just need to retarget them. They already do art about our local environment. So to do that, I'd like to ask the district manager as a part of this report to consider the funding requirement for it in action. And then second to that, I would like to see a resolution that comes before the board saying we agree with the California Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights. It could be a simple resolution, you know, like I said, open to interpretation, but I'd like to see us make that commitment to it. The last part is I want to say, and I did ask for a clarification on your last comments, but I do want to acknowledge that Ed, as you spoke, obviously was personal and meaningful to you, that you brought up issues that might be difficult to bring up, and I appreciate that, because I see as one of the ways we can do this is if we tell our stories and the different issues that maybe we as leaders of our park district, whether it's you're on the board or you have a different leadership role, if we tell our stories as a part of this initiative, it might make it more personal and more understandable. If we said many of us have gone through issues like similar that you have, and here's how it can get better and it does get better, then I think that might be an opportunity to use our positions to share those resources. Like, hey, I went through this, I did this part, it was really helpful, and this is why you should do it too. You're worth it.
I appreciate your comments, Director Denner. And I just want to specifically call out and second the concepts for employees around gym or just employee benefit access. I believe that the presentation covers it as well, but I would always be open to additional employee benefits or access to tools that would benefit our employees as well. And I know Director Denner has already asked for clarification. Vice Chair Hamlet, thank you for your comments, and I know you said them with passion. My only stipulation is I don't feel like I fully understood what aspect of the methodology was the most concerning, because I would just point out that to me, the fourth bullet point is that it's a feedback loop, where you were talking about going downward, but the fourth one is shall provide opportunities for all staff to provide that feedback.
I could elaborate more, but I want to be careful about that, because I think some of that would fall into a category that probably would need to be discussed in closed session. So I'm trying to be careful about how I word it. I certainly can relay and have relayed in different forms this information to the district manager, and will continue to do so, and I can also relay it to the board under the proper guidelines. So I'm trying to be as respectful as I can.
I view the methodology as succinct and as a feedback loop. I think this is a good initiative. I think it's good policy. I think it creates avenues for improvement, which all policies need. As the community changes, the initiative has to adapt as well with community and employee needs. So I'm very happy to support this initiative.
Director Bryant?
Yeah, I'm comfortable supporting it. Again, my main concern is not overextended staffing where we are. But again, we're doing a lot of these things already, and just like reaching out to the county and police department, Adventist Health, or Morris is probably fine. Getting feedback though from staff on a regular basis.
Okay. Looking at the methodology, to me it seems reasonable, a good approach. I like the idea of the program. I think it's a first step to get out there and start working together with other organizations that also provide services, and being aware of what those services are and making those services available to our employees. If we don't know they're there, we can't offer, we can't direct them. I think that it's going to be a slow process to develop, and I think the youth employment program is important, and I think having Adventist Health maybe include us in their advertising and all the things that we do. I would like to point out that as an organization, we honor employees every month. We provide luncheons, employee luncheons. We have the holiday party. We do a lot. There was a group formed for employee morale, and questions and issues out there, and I think that's functioning. There's efforts being made, and I want to just point that out, that it's not something that is being ignored. A lot of time and effort was put into this report and this effort, and how to make our employees better and the community better, including the community of Oak Park. Let's not forget that. So I'm in favor of moving forward with the recommendation. Do we need a motion on this?
I have a couple of clarifying questions, if I could, Chair. I heard we wanted to further develop an employee wellness program. Do we want to, which we can certainly add to this. This was meant for feedback, so you know, if we want to change it, add to it, you know, whatever we want to do, we can do with it. This was meant at first review for the board. So I heard an idea of adding an employee wellness program and doing an employee survey. Would the board like to do that? And then we can bring it back and put together an employee wellness program.
So for me, I think it's clear. There's no way, I mean, I'll publicly campaign against this whole thing if we don't do an employee survey and if we don't look into an employee wellness program. I want to make a couple comments in response to what the chair said. Right now, morale is probably at an all-time low, things like Employee of the Month and Employee Appreciation Days are good things. They should continue, but they're not replacements for the manner in which business is done. And that's the core of the issue here. What this needs after getting employee input and listening to that employee input and digesting it and really hearing it, what this needs is elaboration and specificity on the methodology. Because otherwise it's undermining the purpose that it's trying to serve, which is employee health. So my answer is yes, of course we need to get the employee input, and we do need to look into an employee wellness program, and we need to be specific and honest with our employees about what this program is going to entail and what their responsibilities are going to be. And we need to pursue it in a way that it's not adding pressure to them, but taking pressure off of them.
Is the rest of the board interested in developing that kind of program?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think
Okay.
feedback from the survey and feedback.
So what we'll do is we'll take the initiative and enhance the healthy employee portion of that, and do some surveys of the employees and look at other organizations that have employee wellness programs, and we'll bring it back and expand that. It may require some more resources, it may not in terms of funding or positions or anything, but we'll look into that and bring it back with some alternatives for the board.
I'm not clear what the survey would be.
I don't have it in my mind, but it sounds like we want to survey our employees and ask them certain kind of questions about their own wellness and well-being, and also ask them if they would have ideas about how we could go about supporting them and being healthier employees. So we can do that. I would probably look to some professional organizations. We have lots of resources. Capri has a whole section that's available to us. It's our insurer. They have a whole, so we can, which we have access to, and we offer that to the employees, but I can reach out to professionals. I'll probably run that through HR rather than recreation. It's more of an HR initiative. We were primarily focused on the community, but we can definitely further enhance the employee wellness program.
Dana,
and do
a survey like that, would this be an appropriate question? What's the cause of your anxiety or pressure you feel? I have problems paying my bills, please pay me more.
I don't know. We've got medically related questions, so that's why I need to get some expertise on what we can and can't ask and the confidentiality of that. So, and there's folks we'll have to reach out to and see if we can develop a survey tool that will reflect that and that is handled correctly and the information is shared correctly.
I think there's two parts to this. One is, and again, I don't know the legalities of that either, and I think human resources probably is a good idea. but one is getting candid input in terms of what areas employees could use help in as it relates to mental health. And the other is employee input as to how this program is going to affect them in terms of what their expectations are in carrying out the program. So I think it's twofold. One, what resources can help them with their mental health, but the other part is also how this program should be implemented in a way that rather than helping them, it's not further burdening them.
Do you think it makes sense to divide the program between the public facing and the employee program instead of one program?
I haven't thought about that.
Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Okay, we will bring this back with that developed.
In terms of splitting it, I think I would defer to the general manager and the folks who are going to have to do some of the work on what makes sense to minimize
Right.
the excess labor.
I would second that. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
With that, I'll move on to item.
Chair, just for asking for clarity on that.
Yeah, I had another point of clarification too. Director Dinner talked about funding and implementation, I believe, of the Bill of Rights in the after-school club program, and funding some initiatives there, and then also a resolution indicating that the board would like to support the Bill of Rights. So I'll develop some thoughts around that. I do know that we need some, maybe work with Director Dinner specifically. Again, that may need, depending on the scope of implementation, may need some additional resources. Like Director Miller mentioned, these things will kind of scope within our existing resource palette in terms of both staff and money. It sounds like the board is making this a priority budgetarily. So as I talk with the staff and we try to work these things out, if there are things and ideas that require additional staff or resources, we can certainly bring those options and costs back to the board to consider.
Madam Chair, we're going to 5-minute recess.
Okay, 5-minute recess. 8:30. Call the meeting back to order at 8:40 and move on to item C, approval of award of contract for the Knowles Park Playground Replacement Project and approval of resolution number 2082 authorizing the recordation of a deed restriction for the 2018 Parks Bond Act per capita program. I'm not going to editorialize on that one because it didn't work out the way it was supposed to.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Nakaoka will provide staff's report.
Chair Friedman, members of the board, please bear with me. This is a long report because we're covering grants, contracts, and a deed restriction. In December of 2021, the Park District submitted and was awarded 2 separate grants for the Knowles Park through the 2018 Parks Bond Act per capita program. It's long words. One grant was to replace both of the play equipment apparatus at Knowles Park. We got $177,952 for that. And the second grant was for the pavement or paving the parking lot behind the Knowles station. We got $95,000 for that. Based on the high public bid prices received for the Knowles Park parking lot renovation project, the Park District Board of Directors decided not to award construction contract for the parking lot at its meeting on January 17, 2024. As part of the board's denial, the board requested staff to determine if the grant could be reallocated to another project at the Park District. On July 2024, thanks to Dan, the Park District was notified that the state of California did allow us to reallocate the grant funds of $95,000 to supplement the Equestrian Center renovation project. On March 6, 2024, the board reviewed and approved the purchase of the new playground equipment through California Multiple Award Service schedules in the amount of $87,895. That equipment is sitting back in the warehouse right now. I think Director Dinner was asking me about it. It's still in boxes, you can't see it, but it is the railroad thing that we promised. A notice inviting bids for the project was advertised in Ventura County Store on July 28, 2024, and a total of 7 contractors picked up either bid plans and specifications or downloaded it off our website. On August 13, 2024, 2 bids were received in time for the bid opening. The apparent lowest responsible bidder is Artelon Construction of Thousand Oaks, California. Artelon has previous experience working for the Park District. They have completed 9 projects for us. I listed a few of the better ones in the staff report. Staff is very confident in Artelon's ability to put together this play equipment for us and complete the project. On August 14, 2024, the Park District received a public bid grievance from Pacific Tennis Courts Incorporated, claiming that the lowest bidder for the project, Artelon Construction, did not submit a bid bond in conformance with the project specifications. After re-examining the bids received, staff confirmed that Artelon Construction Company did contain a bid bond in their bid that was presented, which actually used the American Institute of Architects bid bond form. This bid bond form substantially complies with the requirements of the project manual and confers no competitive advantage upon the low bidder. Therefore, staff is recommending that the board award a construction contract to the lowest bidder, Artelon Construction, while waiving this minor irregularity. As part of the grant requirements for the Knowles Park Playground Replacement Project, the state of California is requiring the Park District to record a deed restriction on the property. Basically, this deed restriction limits us or our ability to sell the property or change the general use of the property. We're never going to change it into a skyscraper or a whole parking lot, so we're pretty safe on that. A copy of the resolution and the deed restriction documents is attached to your board packet as Exhibit B. Park District staff and legal counsel have reviewed the resolution and deed and found them to be in proper form. Funding for this project is in the district's budget for 2024-25 under the Simi Valley Grant Fund account in the amount of $177,952. Allowing for the previous authorized purchase of the playground equipment, which is sitting in the back, of $87,895. The grant funding balance currently is at $90,057. Based on the lowest responsible bid received, which is $140,000, and allowing 10% for contingencies, that brings up the estimated construction total of $154,000. Additional funding to complete this project in the amount of $63,943 can be obtained from the district's capital improvement project fund reserve. It should be noted that staff is not recommending that bid alternates A and B for the installation of the rubberized surfacing be awarded. We're going to put in wood chips. Therefore, staff is requesting that the board, and I have to amend board action number 1 to read something closer to approve and award a contract for the Knowles Park Playground Replacement Project to Artelon Construction of Thousand Oaks, California, in the amount of $140,000, and that the bid bond submitted by Artelon Construction Company substantially complies with the requirements of the project manual, conferred no competitive advantage upon the low bidder, and that the board award a construction contract to Artelon Construction while waiving this irregularity. Staff's request number 2 is authorize the district manager to execute the agreement with the awarded firm on behalf of the Park District and to amend the agreement for the project contingencies in an amount not to exceed $14,000 if and when the need arises for extra work or modifications to the project. Excuse me. And then authorize the district manager to amend the district's budget for fiscal year 2024-25 to cover for the additional construction costs of $63,943. And the fourth action is approve resolution number 2082 authorizing the recordation of the deed restriction for the 2018 Parks Bond Act per capita program as requested by the State of California Department of Park and Recreation over that real property commonly referred to as Los Park, Simi Valley, California. Now I can answer any questions you may have.
Director Adler?
No question.
Director Denner?
Oh,
Director Gray?
Go ahead. Can you clarify the minor irregularity, because I didn't see one when I read the staff report. It's like
Okay. The minor irregularity is that we typically supply a bid bond form as part of our documents.
Okay, they use the-
Our conditions require a bid bond. Unfortunately, when we put together the project manual, that form wasn't in there.
Okay.
So the contractor took it upon himself to use the American Institute of Architects form. It's still good. I checked the bond itself. You know, if they default on executing the agreement properly, we can pull 10% of $14,000 from the the bonding company.
This sounds like they use the AIA form because of our error. We didn't
Yeah.
put it,
We didn't
so
put
we
one
shouldn't
in there.
penalize them. Okay, that was my only question.
Is there any other questions?
The playground design, we're designing for that neighborhood specifically. Can you walk me through the final outcome?
The design of it.
Correct.
The upper part is going to be the fire station. It's a replacement fire truck and a couple of spring animals. Fire truck will be yellow. It will have the number 43 on it. The lower one is a train. And on that one, we have it listed as Southern Pacific Railroad. Number 4, I believe it says on it, which is representative of the railroad that was here or began in 1804 in Simi Valley.
I'm happy with both those choices.
Pardon me?
Both those choices have historical and local significance. I like that.
That is correct.
Any questions? Anyone in the audience? Anyone on Zoom?
Can you, just out of curiosity, can you expand why you love wood chips and why you hate this other term?
Rubberized surfacing is awfully expensive. It's hard to maintain. Every time we put it in, big sections are missing and we find them all over the place. Right now, rubberized surfacing is running between $45 and $60 a square foot. Wood chips, I can fill a whole playground for about $10,000. It's ADA accessible, it's safe. Most parks and playgrounds that I've seen have gone to the wood chips. It's just more economical. And nobody wants to take the wood chips.
Do I have a motion?
Did we do public comment?
Oh, I thought I did. The attorney said I did.
I'll make a motion to approve the staff recommendations, all of them that were listed.
Did you make a motion to second? I will second it.
Roll call?
Director Dennis.
Yes.
Director Gray.
Aye.
Director O'Brien. Yes. Vice Chair Avila.
Aye.
And Chair Freeman.
Yes.
Motion carries with unanimous.
Are we gonna, sorry, on this topic, are we gonna do anything once it's revealed? The playgrounds, once they're installed?
We can do that if you'd like.
I think it could be interesting. I don't know how much work it would be, so if it's too much work, we should forego it. But it would be, I know there are firefighters who served at Station 43 who still reside in the community. My grandfather was one of them. He won't be attending. And I'm sure possibly the Historical Society might also have an interest with the train station there as well. So I think there's potentially a good photo op and community partnership and all of that with the design for the community itself.
Good idea. The default? Yes. Anyone have any written communication?
I technically do. This one's a little gratuitous, but
General Manager? Do you
I
have-
do.
Oh, you do have some
Yeah.
written
So,
communication?
so this one's a little gratuitous, but I have to mention it because it's, you know. I think many of you know that I know the second gentleman of the United States, and I happened to watch his speech at the Democratic Convention, and while he and I are probably polar opposites politically. It was beyond anything I expected because I've known him for over 30 years. He exceeded my expectations. It was heartwarming. He did his part. So I haven't, I don't speak to him much at all anymore. But I did email him briefly, and I did not expect to hear back from him because we don't communicate that much. But about 4 or 5 days later, he sent a really nice, polite reply. I would have thought he had more to do. But anyway, so so I'm still in touch with the second gentleman. I probably won't be voting the way he wants me to vote, but he did an outstanding job.
Any other good communication? Nothing from the general manager? No. We'll move on to reports by board members. Director Ella?
I'm going to let others go first.
Director Denner?
Yeah, I had some conversations that came up in Oak Park with the park district setting us bills, and we normally don't. Do you have it within your current directions and board policies to start billing them?
I do not.
Like for rental fees,
Well, I guess
like
I
a
could
cross-country team?
administratively without a joint use agreement, but the board's weighed in it, but I don't have any specific direction to start that. I could start it on my own.
If I wanted you to do that, would I put it on the agenda or just
I
personally?
think we had already asked to talk about the joint use agreement on the agenda, so I was going to bring that back and put a list of the kind of the uses that we have of theirs and of ours, and then identify those areas that we should start billing them without a joint use agreement.
What's our calendar for that?
I think November, October. Yeah, we only have one meeting in October, and we've got a bunch of things kind of backed up, so I think we were thinking November.
I think that is reasonable. I'll just point out, like other groups that might be using facilities, we don't wait to bill them, we just bill them unless
Right.
there's a reason we don't bill them. Anybody else that walked into the building and said, oh, I'd like to use this facility, can I just have it? But
Yeah.
if we're going to discuss in more detail in November, I'm open to that too.
Yeah, and Director Miller and I will have a discussion about it.
Yeah, I thought November would be a good timing. To clarify, I don't think that there's not free permits being given out to the school district. There are uses of the school district that are undefined by our permitting or our fee structure. Things like parking lots that we don't generally have a fee structure for because people typically don't have to rent those things. So I think part of the bigger discussion in November will be should we or how should we go about some of those scenarios when we don't have established guidelines for that stuff. What I would call the typical permits definitely are being billed currently. We are not giving away anything free anymore outside of the use of parking lots and maybe a couple of small items that we would like to discuss in November.
So like sports teams that use our facilities, we're selling bills?
Yeah, so like the cross-country team will be using Oak Canyon for their cross-country meet. They'll be billed fully for that permit.
In the past, were they?
Yeah, in the last 3 years that I've been here, we've billed them every time they've asked for a permit. They were not happy, and I told them to go back and speak to their school district about a joint use agreement, and we are where we are.
When they do that, if you don't have the number in front of you, that's fine, but do you have an approximation? Like when they get a permit for a track meet, how much they're paying?
Somewhere between $1,500 and $2,500, I would believe.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
That's it.
Mr. Gray?
The staff social media page has been excellent. Thank you for all that work. I know there's a whole team that goes into that work. It has been outstanding. I appreciate the call outs of the community, the employees, and bragging about all the great work that employees do here. I continue to support that. I think we need to emphasize that and continue to promote that. And I'm also happy to see that Visit Simi Valley has also been promoting the Park District as they bragged about all the acres of parkland in our parks and open space, hiking, biking, horseback riding, and many of the facilities and programs that we offer. And I know that's been a very popular post, so I'm glad to see other entities with lots of dollars to spend in promotion are also promoting how great Rancho Simi is. And with that, Vice Chair Avila, I'm a little jealous, mostly what I heard after those speeches. I am not at the level you're at. All my friends were saying how exhausted they were from writing those speeches. So a lot of them were like, I'm going on vacation now. But that's
It
okay.
pays to be into fantasy football. That's all.
That's my report.
Director Brian?
All right, I was at Strathern last Saturday with Chair Freeman for the Rotary Hot August Night event, which was a great event in Strathern. It really lends itself very well to this kind of thing, dancing and partying and drinking and all that. I think that we should definitely encourage that. I know it gets used a lot, and I'm good. I'm glad. I want it to keep happening. It was good. Something popped up on my social media feed. I guess something was yesterday. Someone was complaining about Rancho Tapo Community Park and the homeless problem there, and that they're saying they were afraid to go to the park. So that concerned me, and I thought I should bring that up. Maybe
Was that on the neighborhood app? Neighborhood app or where?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I haven't had too many complaints on Rancho Tapo, but do you have the name of the person, or I could get?
I can find it on my feed.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could
I'll
share
find
that
it and I'll
with
send
me.
it
We'll
to you.
reach out and
That got my
get some-
attention. It was, I think it was like at midnight. I was just scrolling before I
Yeah.
went to bed.
Yeah, it'd be great if I could get a name or something, we could reach out.
I will get a name.
Yeah, thank you.
And an acquaintance approached me about the bridge at Mayfair Park. And I guess it needs painting or something.
Yeah, that's been on the, we've had that on the list. The
Yeah.
guys just finished painting the train depot. We've had a heck of a graffiti and vandalism problem in the community this summer, so they've been addressing that. But Wayne does have the bridge on the calendar.
Okay. I had
Oh, it's done. Good.
It is done. Okay, good.
Good, it's done.
No,
There you go.
I had a hunch. It was just we'll get to it when we get to
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
Now that's service.
It's done, yeah.
that's my report. That's it.
Thank you. I was going to acknowledge Jeannie because she did a fantastic job helping us coordinate everything for the Rotary Hot August night. Temperature was perfect, not too hot. I mean, it was really a beautiful evening.
Yeah.
And I wanted to also thank Richard for filling in for me at the Chamber Legislative Committee. One that I will miss, but I can still plug in as just a member, right? Yeah. Okay. What I have to bring up now is actually quite serious. I've given this a lot of thought. I would like to ask that we have a study session or an agenda item in the next couple meetings with the purpose of, maybe it can be provided by our attorney or his people, on the role of a board member as it relates to staff and the board member responsibility for the general manager and the attorney, and how board members should behave or interact with staff. There is, as a board member, there is a definite protocol on how board members should be dealing with staff, and if you had ever gone through a board training program, you would learn what the correct protocol is. And I'm thinking that it would be worthwhile if we had an item on our agenda to deal with that, on what is the correct protocol for board members. And I'm requesting that that be put on the agenda.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm happy to provide a model policy. I believe that there's one in place now with the district on board member, I think it's conduct and standards. So we can certainly take that, make some recommendations, and then bring it back for discussion and potential adoption.
I think it would be important for all of us to be behaving in the same manner. I respect our employees. I respect the process. if I have a question of Wayne, I can email him, but I also always include the general manager that I'm asking for information, or whether it's Richard on legislation. There is a process that needs to be followed by board members to not diminish the role of the department heads and the managers, so that there is not a misflow of information. So I would appreciate you bringing that back. Next, report by district manager.
Actually, I haven't done mine yet. I haven't done my report yet.
Oh, true.
Okay. For just a brief comment on that. I know that since Director Dennert and I have gotten on the board, we do communicate with employees, and we do get information from them. And I can certainly say in my situation, I've been misled sometimes by staff. So if I didn't get that information from employees, I wouldn't be getting all the information I need to make my decisions. So, and the one thing I never do is I never require an employee to talk to me. You know, I only ask them if they want to chat, and if they do, I speak with them. So I just want to be clear on that in terms of protocol. We as board members have our number one duty is to our residents and it's to our constituents, and as such, we're entitled to have full information that's available in the district. So I just wanted to make that comment. I wanted to make one other comment. You know, Doug, in his speech, he did allude to our fantasy football league. I have to say, it was a great speech, but it was the most awkward moment of the speech. It's like he had to find a place to put in. I don't know if you watched the speech or not, but he did mention his team name Nirvana, and it's from the 90s band. So that actually is all accurate. I can tell you that was factual information. So, all right. So I did the Ranch 99.1 interview. I did that with Danielle. It went really well. She did an outstanding job. Whenever I do one of those interviews, I do like to mention the talking points here because they have to do with upcoming events. So Wheels in Motion is going to be, was at Rancho Santa Susana Park on August 25th. All three Halloween events were mentioned. October 19th is the Heritage Halloween at Strathern. And then October 31, we have Halloween carnivals at both Santa Susana and Oak Park Community Centers. Junk in the Trunk has two events coming up, September 28th and October 19th. We did make mention of our continuing mobile recreation. Classics at Corriganville is October 26th. The movie is Along the Navajo Trail, starring Roy Rogers. And Snowfest is November 3rd at Rancho Madera Park. And then we made mention, kind of as teasers, but I'm back there in October, so we'll be discussing again Veterans Day. The one other thing that I'm setting as a goal for my next year as chair, I'm going to try to, because scheduling has been an issue, but I'm going to try to arrange so they like to have us there every month, so I can be there every month, and hopefully one of the board members or a staff member can join me each time. It does make for a nice interplay with Jay. I think it makes it more interesting for his listening audience, and it's a great way. To promote our park district. So that's going to be one of my goals, and I know actually the rest of you now will have full-time jobs. And so, but hopefully somehow I can get each of you out there with me one of the months, and we can make maybe a different staff member who's comfortable doing it out there. Like I said, Danielle did a great job. So that's one of my goals for next year. I think it's really good for us, it's good for the ranch, and it's good for the community. I did meet with David Melody to discuss the golf course situation. It was very insightful, it was helpful in preparation for the meeting today. He's a great guy and he's really knowledgeable. He's really knowledgeable about golf. So that was extremely helpful for tonight's meeting. Now comes the part, I don't really want to do this, but I have to because I don't feel like I'm fulfilling my obligation if I don't. You know, I've made several predictions that have come true and that I hope maybe wouldn't come true, and I think about the fact that I felt like we were coming up short on golf fees for a while, and more it's turning out like that's the case. There was the mention of the need for security cameras, and then, you know, weirdly we had like 3 or 4 incidents within 2 weeks of mentioning that. The one other one that comes to mind, for 1.5 years I was mentioning that we were going to come in way over budget on the if we did both floors of the phase 3 of the activity center. And I made those predictions not because I'm all that smart or anything like that. I made those predictions because of input that I received from the community, because of input that I received from staff, and input that I received from employees. I'm not smart enough to come up with all that stuff. I take the information that's provided to me by people who care, by people who have expertise in certain areas. And by the way, that's the importance of being able to communicate with our employees and about getting different aspects and different forms of information. And those are all things that we've been alerted to, and that I've alerted the board to, and they came true, and they're all things that we've had to deal with and that we are now dealing with. But it's not because there's anything great about me. It's because of our outstanding employees and the input they have provided me. And so I'm going to make one other prediction, and this is another one that we can reverse, and that we can still make the most of. You know, one of the disappointments for me about not getting the gym in the activity center is because I thought it'd be really valuable for our community and our employees. And there was a time where it was going to be a sure thing that we had that gym, and then somehow it got muddled, and it may not happen, and then all of a sudden there was a recommendation for it not to happen. In the disappointment of all that, I decided to take a step back and just look at the overall picture of phase 3 of the activity center. And the realization came to me that as much as I think we should have that darn weight room there, that my focus on that, just like individual staff members, individual board members, we've all had this one thing that we really want, and they're all great ideas. And in all of that, I realized that I got too caught up in the idea of having that gym. So I took a step back, and I wanted to look at how this all looks without having the weight room there. And I think what we have to do, I think everybody who's involved in this has to take a step back, and they have to take a look at it. We're spending upwards of $7 million on a facility whose main attraction, and it's going to be a wow, is going to be that indoor 3-story playground. And other than that, the effect of that $7 million is going to be that we're going to have 8 multi-purpose rooms in this building. And as it is, we're not making the most of that use. The other thing that dawned on me And I kind of blame myself for not recognizing these things when I was so focused on just this one aspect of the activity center, is that these are not all complementary uses. You have gymnastics and martial arts literally next to courts where there's going to be all sorts of noise. Gymnastics and martial arts require instruction. They require focus. And in order to be able to do that, you're basically going to be using less than 20% of the facility if you want to take out all the rest of the noise, because it's near an indoor play structure and it's near courts. And then you have all these multi-purpose rooms. And there's no theme to the whole thing. I guess we could put a banner up that says recreational chaos or something like that. So I think we need to go forward. It's a great design. I mean, Douglas certainly has done his part in doing this great design. But right now, it's a $7 million facility that has no theme, that has no objective, and that has all these different rooms that are going to be used for different things. We have a lot of employees that have a lot of expertise, and I think it would be smart in the coming months to hear from more of them and to see how it is that this is all going to work. Because right now, it's a mismatch of functions. It's not a space that can be fully utilized at one time. It's unclear in this $7 million space on a work day or a school day what's actually going to take place in this facility. So I think these things need to be honed in. And I know the chair at one point, when we were deciding to vote on this, asked the question, do we have to actually decide what's in, with this the basic structure? Do we have to actually decide what's there? And the impression, and I took it at face value, was yeah, we needed a decision. Otherwise, we can't go forward. We can't order everything. Well, I talked to Wayne, and it turns out that as late as January, we can do change orders. I listened back to that whole discussion about the activity center phase 3, and one of the things that struck me, if I can find it here.
Are you asking this to be put back on the agenda?
I'm getting to that. But one of the things that struck me was at one point when we were talking about the VR room, Zach pointed out, well, it wasn't the VR room, it was esports. Is that to do that, it makes noise. So it's going to have to be something with 4 walls and a door. Well, the court spaces make noise. The indoor play structure is going to be kids making noise. So we're having incompatible uses here. Noise is an issue, and Zach, you acknowledge that. So yes, I'm not having it put back on the agenda to discuss the whole activity center again. I don't believe in rediscussing issues unless there's a pressing need to do that. If the staff thought we needed to do that, I would more than welcome the opportunity. I'm not even having it put back on the agenda to discuss the weight room again. But I am going to ask that in January, which is the time when Wayne said we could still do change orders, which is a time that gives our staff another chance to step back and look at this. I am going to ask that it be put on the agenda in January for a report on the progress of how is the space going to be utilized, how is it going to be compatible, and how is it going to justify $7 million of usage? Because right now, it's 8 multi-purpose rooms, some noisy courts, an impressive play structure, and right next to that, an area that's supposed to be quiet and focused on gymnastics and martial arts. So I think it needs to have a closer look, and it needs a fresh set of eyes. We have a lot of talented people in this organization. These decisions don't need to be made by just a group of 4 people. Let's get everybody's input, because if we don't do that, here is my prediction. We're going to have a great grand opening regardless, because it's going to be an impressive play structure. Everything's going to look new. The colors that Douglas has chosen has been great, and everybody's going to be giving high fives, and everybody's going to celebrate. But what about 3 months later, or 6 months later, or a year later, or 2 years later? These things need to be considered, and we've overlooked all of that. So I would like it back on the agenda in January to have an update from the staff on what the actual plan is for how this is all going to work. And as part of that, I've been mentioning now for a couple of years, and I'm going to mention it again, some sort of survey from the public on what they'd like to see there, how they'd like to see it work. Any reputable organization, government, private, does that. They survey the public. And there's still time to do that. Maybe not to the extent that there would have been had we gotten started earlier, but there is. So I'd like to see a survey done, and I'd like a report at that time on the progress of any survey. And if the report is we're just not doing one, then I'll hear that. But my suggestion is that something like that be done. And I also think we need to get more staff involved and get their opinions. We need a fresh set of eyes to look at this so that this thing works. There's a lot of great ideas. Individually, there's a lot of great things planned for that activity center. But it's not coming together the way it should, the way it's going to work. And I'm going to finish with this. I remember it was during the holiday season that Jill and I were at the mall in Thousand Oaks, and Mayor Paul Miller was there. And we were shopping, and he came up to us, and he was always such a friendly guy, and he was always so nice to me. And he was saying, yeah, well, everybody here, they're all going to be at the town center in a few months. And I love Paul and everything, but as soon as he walked away, Jill and I looked at each other at the same time and rolled our eyes. And I don't want to see this become another town center. There's great individual ideas. There's great aspects of it. I mean, it sucks that we're not going to have a weight room there, but I'm accepting that. I mean, I wouldn't mind a fresh set of eyes to look at that aspect of it too, but I'm not fighting for that. I'm not asking for that to be put back on the agenda. But we need more clarity on how this is going to look and how this is going to work. Because right now, it isn't looking like something that's going to work long term. So with those ideas in mind, I would like to have it put on the agenda in January. My recommendations are involve more of your talented staff, get a fresh set of eyes to look at it, and take a public survey. But in any event, that's up to the staff. That's up to the executive staff how you're going to do that. Those are my suggestions. But I would like it on the agenda, and I would like a report on that in January.
It's actually kind of up to the board. So we're going out with construction drawings next week, or in 2 weeks. So if we're talking about adjoining uses in the courts and how they're not going to mix and match, we're going to need, and if we're going to do a survey and revisit the project, involve the staff, we actually need to redesign we should have start over again. So, and January is not going to work because and we're going to be, we've already spent quite a bit of money on an architect, and we're going to
I don't think you're hearing what I'm saying. It's essentially what the chair was mentioning before. You have a structure, you have a basic structure, but it's unclear how that structure is going to be used and how that's going to be compatible.
Yeah, that's fine. We need to do that before January, before we start doing construction drawings.
Right. Well, I mean,
and if we want to do a survey, we need to do that before you guys probably.
You have the basic construction. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how is this going to be used? How is this going to work? There's no plan that's been presented.
I heard you say there's incompatible uses.
There are.
You said the courts are next to the gymnastics. That's going to take a redrawing of the plans.
It won't take a redrawing of the plans. If floors need to be changed, a change order can do that.
Okay, Wayne you want to do it through change orders? Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
There you go. And
appreciate you letting me know about the conversation, Wayne. I like it.
So last thing I want to end on, Jill and I went to visit my stepdaughter Jackie and her daughter Jody at Point Lobo State Reserve. Jackie's husband is a ranger lifeguard. And we went out on a hike one day, and I got to be honest with you, I go out on the hikes for the fresh air and you know, and to get the exercise and all that. I don't always appreciate the nature stuff, but I have to tell you, it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I have bad eyes, so I wouldn't have seen it myself, but Jackie pointed to it. There was a blue heron in the process of catching a ground mole on the trail, took it off the trail, and you saw the whole event of how it takes its time and then consumes the ground mole. And Jackie it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I gotta tell you, I think I appreciate nature now more than I ever have.
Customer service removed a rodent right in front of you.
First, let me comment on coming back in January, which Kate and I will not be here. But my sense is that Zach and his people have looked at the programming and how all of this will work.
Sorry, I think this is an agendized item. What I would like to do is I'm going to put an item on the agenda for 2 weeks. And I need some feedback on all of Director Avila's comments, so staff has clear direction on how we're moving forward with the project. So, and I'm going to put that on there because I'd like new direction on how we're going to go about doing that. So, and we'll do that in 2 weeks on our properly agendized item.
Dan, I do understand that we don't want to discuss it because it's not on the agenda. I'm only asking a clarifying question about the agenda. My understanding is when you're on the non-prevailing side of a vote, you don't re-agendize the previous conversation. But if somebody was in the winning part, they could re-agendize it. And my understanding from listening to Director Avila is part of what he was saying sounds to me like a rehashing of an argument, but part of it does not. I just want to make sure that we focus on the part that is not, because that's the part he can request.
I think there's a misunderstanding here. What I haven't seen yet, and what I want to see, and I think it would be great to get employee input on, is how this is all going to play out. Because I haven't seen anything that gives us clarity on that. And I think how it's going to play out, it would be useful to get as much of our staff expertise as we can. Again, I'm not saying changing the structure.
Do you have specific staff you'd like to include in the conversation?
I think you know your staff well, and I think you should.
Well, I need to know who you're.
Well, I mean, I can. We don't have to do that publicly.
So, Chair, I would like to put an item on the agenda in 2 weeks so the board I can get direction on this.
But just to make it clear, I'm not asking to rediscuss the issue.
I understand. I don't know what we're talking about.
I'm asking for. I want to see how this is all going to play out. What's going to be where at what time.
You're talking about programming.
I think it's important that we know that before the activity center opens.
Is that correct? Programming.
If the whole board is confident in the current direction, I could make myself available for Director Abel at any time to walk him through the operation plan. It's been given a lot of time and energy to do that.
Yeah.
If the director would like to meet with me, I'd be happy to walk him through our plan. It's been thought of for as long as I've been here, and every recreational staff member has been included or been given the opportunity to comment on this design. So I think the argument or the conversation about whether or not there's been input by the recreation staff, every single rec staff, full-time rec staff member has been allowed to comment and give their opinion on the direction of the plan at this point.
What is the problem with presenting that plan at the January meeting? If there is a plan in place, what is the problem of presenting it at the January meeting?
Because what I heard you say, incompatible uses, I heard you say get employee input. That input may lead to design changes.
Well,
so if I take the employee input
Zach
and they
is
have...
saying that you have the employee input. You just said that.
So I guess my question, Director Avila, is if in the January meeting I present an operations plan that one board member disagrees with, or the board says that agrees with that board member and says that these activities are incompatible, what would be the direction at that point for us to take? Would we stop the construction to create sound walls or other scenarios that you're concerned with? Because I do think that we would want to know that before we go to that discussion as opposed to after.
Well, so I think you're asking questions that are impossible answers since we don't know what the plan is. So I think if the plan is.
I'm happy to share the plan with you
So-
at any point in time, Director Avila.
So what I'm saying is, so we have informational presentations from time to time. I would like to see the plan presented in January. The basic structure of the activity center is there. I'm not asking to revisit that. However, knowing that change orders are possible, I think it would be foolish for us not to take a look at that plan and let's see what it's all about before it opens. I don't know. I mean, to me, I think the public would like to see what that plan is.
That's interesting to me because Director Nakaoka has always told me he wants a tight bid package so we don't have to do a bunch of change orders that lead to an issue. So that's new information to me on that.
I think we're getting away from the issue. What is the problem?
I don't think we should be doing a bunch of change orders based on direction we get in January.
We're
going to spend more money. So I'd like to add an item to the agenda to talk about this.
Okay, what I'm asking for, this is the first I've heard that we have a plan.
Right, I believe you've been in my office many times asking about certain aspects of that project. I'm surprised that you don't.
No, you've never showed me a plan.
I've never showed you a plan because you've never asked for a plan.
Okay.
Every question you've asked from me, Director, I've answered for you, including the recommendation.
I'm surprised we're going to change. I'm surprised we're going to change order our way through a $7 million project.
See, you're getting defensive and you're making assumptions that don't even exist. So I didn't know that a full plan existed. This is the first I've heard of that. Knowing that a full plan existed, I would like to have that plan presented to the whole board in January. And if it's a great plan, there's no problem. If it's not, there may be minor adjustments. I don't see the problem with that. It happens all the time.
Why would we wait until January?
Because we'll have a new board in place at that time.
Oh, that's why.
Got it.
I mean, but otherwise, why double up?
Zach, you be ready to present the plan in 2 weeks?
If this board wants to see an operations plan for that center in 2 weeks, I'll have it ready for you for review, yes.
And as you stated, you have input from all the recreation staff.
That's correct. Since the moment I got here, there was a preliminary design of that building, which included many of the aspects that currently exist in the plan with some modifications. We've gone through 3 different versions of that, including the realization that the second story was not feasible. We've changed that plan. We've changed the operation plan. We've changed the operation underlying budget. I've had conversations about specific aspects of that with Director Avila.
In my opinion, we've had way too many meetings on it with everybody, because I don't like to have a bunch of meetings, so we've had way too many meetings on it already.
And those,
so we're talking about
been,
more meetings.
That's right. Those that have been encouraged to attend have attended. Those that have chosen not to attend have not been part of the process going forward, but they have certainly been invited throughout.
We can look at the plan in 2 weeks if you have the plan ready.
Or we could do it privately if it's just your directive.
Let's let the public see the plan. I mean, that's.
See you in 2 weeks.
I think
If I could, Chair, I'd like to ask direction for the board so we could discuss this before I have the staff work for the next 2 weeks on a plan. So what I'd like to do is put an item on the agenda either in 2 weeks, or we can have a special meeting in a couple days where we can talk about this and I can get clear direction from the board relative to where we're headed with the project and the plan. Because I don't want to go down the path of presenting the plan and there's not, you know what I mean, it's just a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of meetings. I'd like to be more efficient with it than that. So what I would like to request is that we put in an item either on in 2 weeks or before 2 weeks where I can get some direction on what we're talking about here. And I can ask some questions, get some clarity. I heard what Director Avila said. I'd like some feedback from the rest of you. We're not in a position right now where I can get feedback from the rest of you on this perspective. And I think before we go spend a bunch of time on a plan or presenting a plan or redoing the project or kicking it back to January when we have a new board, I think I need to hear from all 5 of you and get your perspectives on that before I put my
I don't want to delay the project, and if we're going to do anything, I would like to do that soon. I don't want to do change orders in January to find out it's rushed because we have.
Can I recommend a special meeting next week with this item on it so we can talk about it?
It's fine with me.
Okay. And then from there, we'll decide what staff's going to present.
I mean, I have faith that the staff is not blindly
Yeah.
running off with no program in mind or how to staff them, because we've had to look at how the programs will be staffed and
Yep.
coordinated and what kind of staff needs to be on duty. It's not like they're operating in a vacuum. That's their job and they've been doing it.
If we do that meeting next week, I would just like to say that I will understand that the plan might be complete, but the presentation might not be the smoothest because we're put together.
I'm not talking about bringing the plan next week. I need direction from the full board on where we're headed with the project.
Okay.
I'm not questioning where we're headed with the project. I just want to see what's going to happen. I'll meet with you, Zach. I'll meet with you.
So instead of a meeting, instead of a special
I'll
meeting.
meet with Zach,
I
and then if there's any specifics that I think need to come before the board, we'll iron that out.
So I would suggest that an appropriate way to do it would be to include the general manager and Zach.
You can suggest what you want. I'll meet with Zach. I don't have to follow your suggestion.
Zach, I'm going to request that you have me at the
I would
meeting,
recommend
please.
that district manager is part of all meetings going forward with any board member, especially when they're not scheduled and just on a drop-in basis. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused where we're at. We have a special meeting next week?
We are not. I guess that's going to meet with Zach and me about the operating plan.
I have a couple other things to add. I wanted to adjourn the meeting in honor of a dear friend, Jan Smith, who worked for Kathy Wright, both as an assemblywoman and as a state senator, and served on the historical board for many, many years and on neighborhood council, and actually retired from Caneo Board of Realtors and had your job.
The person, I replaced Adam and she was
a great lady, and she was a great Green Bay Packer fan, and I'm a Charger fan, and we would go back and forth every weekend, and I'm going to miss her this football season for sure, but I want to adjourn in her honor. And I want to remind everyone that the Strathern is having the Apricot Festival this year on September 21 from 11 to 5. Something new they're doing, and they want to do it every year, so put it on your calendar. General Manager's report.
Yeah, I'd like to start by commending Danielle June on the mental health presentation. She did a lot of work in that. I think the message was lost a little bit when we were focused on rejecting the employee portion of that. The whole idea was, I thought she did an excellent job presenting it, put together a jumping off point, and getting feedback from the board. I also want to commend David Melody. He's been here for 30 days, and he was kind of put on the spot, you know what I mean? And he had to get up to speed quickly. So I want to commend him for doing that and getting up to speed, and I thought he did an excellent job as well. Want to report out that the Ventura Resource when we were looking at doing some vegetation and weed abatement work in Medea Creek and over in Oak Park and also Lindera, Wayne had given me an estimate of $1.75 million to do those projects. We were successful in securing about $1 million in grant funding toward that 1.7 million, but I don't think it was near what the project estimate was. The Oak Park Fire Council, working in conjunction with the Ventura County Fire and the Ventura Resource Conservation District, took our additional money and put together a countywide application for various locations, and $750,000 more was approved by the state to go toward Medea Creek and Lindero in our fire and vegetation removal efforts over there. So that was great. Frontier Park update: the cleanup's complete, the lights have been installed, the fences are installed, and extra patrol and outreach is occurring. I did want to note, and you probably have seen it in the news, the police department has made, I believe, 5 arrests a couple last month, 3 folks a couple days ago, and another person today. So as I've discussed, we've been working with them and our ranger program to identify the individuals that are causing the damage, graffiti, vandalism, physical damage to our parks, and I'm thankful to the police department for helping us, and I'm thankful to our rangers for hopefully moving the needle on that for those that
Dan, is there
disrupt
a
property.
way to express our thanks, like maybe a card that we could sign that you could send over to the police station?
Yeah, let's do that.
Because I'm going to specify there's a difference between tagging where people just
Yeah.
cause some vandalism and gang graffiti that's threatening people by saying, don't visit this park, we own it.
I would think a letter, a card maybe to the police chief or something of the sort
I like
would be
that.
appropriate, so that'd be great. I'd want to commend David again on the Police Foundation golf tournament, ton of work, nothing but good things to say about the operation, so thank you to him and the golf staff. We did meet with the equestrian group. We're getting close to final design on our equestrian project upgrade. We met with them. There's still a couple of decisions about footing and a couple of other things, but we're meeting with them, getting input and making sure they're good with our design. The board will see that when we request to go out to get authorization to bid. So I also met with the gentleman. He came to this meeting, just so the board knows. I met with the gentleman regarding the natural seepage of oil up in Chivos Canyon. So he came in. I spent about a half an hour with him, kind of pro-conning it and explaining the process for addressing those types of issues in the open space. The gas company, if the board would recall, 6 or 8 months ago, the gas company was contemplating a high-pressure testing project. That project has moved and actually been delayed, but they do need some access from our property to fix some damaged gas lines. We are working with them, and it's a totally different project than what we dealt with before. So Wayne and I are working with them on providing the necessary access they need to fix the gas line leaks.
That's in Elk Park, right?
Yeah, and I've asked the gas company to reach out to those in the community who were involved in that discussion with us at the time, their outreach folks. So. And then I am going to be out next week at the CSDA conference with Elaine and Kate and Chris, our new accountant, so that'll be a good learning opportunity for her. Upcoming board meetings on Wednesday the 18th. We may have the concession agreement for the at the golf course, potentially the contract, and depending on how things progress.
Dan, I have a quick question on that. The new operator is not obligated to use the term birdie bar if they came up with another term they want to use, correct?
No. That was their own term, so yeah. I think they're going to propose a different name. So, we have a request from a developer to take land in lieu of fees. I plan to have that on the agenda next week for the board to consider their request. I was planning to have an amendment to the Henny Dawn contract. They're the architect for the facility there. That would give them a clear scope of work on what they're going to design so that we can move forward with construction drawings and then get to bid. We may have let's see here, a closed session. There's 3 closed session items related to land issues, real estate issues. And then my evaluation is scheduled for the next meeting, and also a management group item. We do not have a meeting the first week in October. If the board will recall, it's a Jewish holiday that evening, I believe, and so that meeting was canceled. Our next meeting after September 18th is on a Tuesday, October 15th. We adjusted that during the regular calendar meeting. On that, we have the closed session number 2 for the evaluation of the general manager. We have the BMX track alternate location discussion to occur, and then the security camera discussion coming back on that meeting. So those are your next 2 meetings, and we do not have any committee meetings scheduled other than the regular Historical Society. That concludes my report.
2 things to clarify. If you're out next week and you want to be part of the meeting with Zach, I guess I'm not having the meeting with Zach next week.
It's just the first part of the week.
Yeah, I can call in too. Yeah, I'll be back Thursday. So we can do it Thursday, or I can call in and do it by phone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll work it out. Second question, I just want to be clear, because I agree with you. I think David Mellon has been outstanding. I've heard the 30 days. Now, he was working on an interim basis before that, correct?
Correct.
So so when did he start? So he's 30 days has been on a permanent
Right.
basis, but he was working on an interim basis
Correct.
prior to that.
But we didn't fully engage him in all of these discussions. We were just having him keep the course going and keep serving the public, so we didn't engage him in the big policy discussions until the
Well,
last
no,
couple
that's
weeks.
what I wanted to know. That makes that makes me even more impressed.
I know this rehashes an earlier conversation, but I'm just asking for clarity. Zach, Dan, for the activity center, there might be a meeting, there might not. You guys will schedule that, but there was no other direction given, correct? Nothing, no direction about survey or anything like that?
I may put an item on the agenda for your meeting on September. So we have the Henny Dong contract, which is that's where we're going to commit certain design changes, certain designs. I may, as the district manager, put an item on the agenda before the Henny Dong contract so I can get clarification on direction with where we're headed with the project.
But there's no other action being taken, like a survey or anything like that until?
No, that's at that meeting because it'll be agendized. We can talk about a survey involving employees, doing change orders, looking at incompatible uses. So that's what, I want to have a discussion to get direction from the board on those things that Director Avila mentioned.
I appreciate it.
So I need some direction from the board in that the director has mentioned those items. I need an agendized item where I can get clarification on where we're headed with the project relative to the comments that were made. And I'd like to hear from the rest of the board on what they would like staff to move forward with. So I will probably put an item on the agenda myself, depending on how the meeting goes with Director Avila. I may put an item on to get clarification from the board in advance of approving a new agreement with our architect to begin designing construction drawings for the project.
Okay, everybody? Is there any more comments from board or staff? With that, we'll adjourn the meeting at 9:45.
Thank you.
It's honor and chance.